I'll hit the rag milk jug.
The chalky wins, dude.
Oh no! Oh no!
I approve waterboarding. They're talking about wakeboarding. The thing about wakeboarding, every trick is an invert.
Backside.
Air railings.
A new dimension.
All right, we're back. Another episode of the Grab Matters podcast. We are doing Shop Talk, episode 9. Today, I am joined by Gavin Stuckey on my right and Dylan Mead on my left. How you boys doing?
We good.
We doing good.
Yeah, we're doing great. So for the viewers, we'll just get out ahead of this one. I'm wearing a block of cheese on my head. I lost a bet with a guy in the industry, Jack Schoepp, the boot designer, footwear designer. I don't even know what the official term is of that guy.
I just call him the boot guy.
He's the boot guy at Ronix. That's great. Yeah, he's the boot guy at Ronix. Smart guy. And I lost a bet, so I got cheese on my head. But I think we also got something above Gavin's head. Get well soon. I think the people that watched the roadie video saw that you were on a scooter, but maybe if some people didn't see that, what happened to your foot? What's going on?
Yeah, I no good is what's going on. But it's all right. It's coming back. We're 6 weeks post-op today, and I tore my Liz Frank, which it just gives your foot stability. Foot came halfway out the boot, kind of bent my toes backwards. Kind of happened at a good time, to be honest. Gave me a lot of time to get back on my feet. Should be good to go at the beginning of the season and back on the board. So I've got a lot of motion, but that's what happened, and we're on the road back. So
Yeah, he's got a pretty solid setup going right now. He's got a crutch that he crutched in here on. He's also got a scooter that we saw him rocking around O-Dub, scooting down the dock the other day.
Yeah.
You got any other attachments for that unit?
no, that's it. Just swapping back and forth between those.
So what were you trying? Were you trying anything, or were you just riding?
I was just riding, cased.
All right, that sucks. Bummer to hear. But so what's the timeline to getting back on the water? Do you know yet?
12 weeks from the surgery, so we're past halfway there, actually. We're almost 7 weeks.
So will you be competing at LAO this year?
I'll be there.
Are you going to win?
We're going to try.
Okay. All right. All right. I think it's time we call Jack at Ronix. We'll see.
Hello.
Hey, Jack. This is Hunter from the Grab Matters podcast. You're live. How's it going, buddy?
Good. How are you, dude?
I've been better, not going to lie.
Really?
Yeah,
What's up?
I've got a cheese head on my head right now, my dome piece, and we kind of need to let the viewers in and the listeners in on what's going on here.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, so I guess run through the bet that we had. What was it, 6 months ago at this point, 4 months ago at this point, and what the consequences were, I guess.
Yeah, so as a world-renowned Packer fan, Packer lifer, been successful for a lot of years, Hunter was drunk off of the regular season, Cinderella story, if you will, of the Lions.
15-2.
Hunter and I had some back and forth. He had a particular sweatshirt on that, was it Amon-Ra was wearing?
It was Amon-Ra St. Brown, wide receiver.
Yep. So the Green Bay Sucks sweatshirt, where you failed to spell Green Bay correctly. So that got off to some DM banter back and forth, and we figured we'd place a wager on who's going to win the Super Bowl. So did the Lions win the Super Bowl?
We had a lot of injuries this year. 17 injuries on defense.
Injuries.
Record injury year.
Injuries.
I'm not making excuses. I'm just letting everybody know.
No excuses.
No excuses.
Right. So being that I had the field, the other 31 teams that play football in the NFL, I won handsomely. And so as a punishment, you're sporting a brand new cheese head, I will say. I didn't even send you my dusty one. I got you a brand new one. So you can wear that with pride. The Lions should be back better than ever next year with both coordinators returning, right? Aaron Glenn, Ben Johnson?
They are not returning. Aaron Glenn went to the New York Jets, and offensive coordinator Ben Johnson is with the Chicago Bears now. So.
No. Darn.
Yeah, darn is right. Darn is right. Yeah, darn is right. Yep.
Too bad.
There's really nothing I can say right now. I'm kind of in a literal corner and figurative corner right now, so this is tough. This is a tough
you could
day.
just drink your way out of this one. That's probably what I'd start with.
Classic Wisconsinite. Drink your way out of this one. That's the solution to your problems. All right, so I want to pivot real quick because for the listeners, what is your position at Ronix? Gavin said you're the boot guy, but I mean, is there a little bit more in depth you can go on what's going on with you and Ronix or what you're doing there?
Yeah. So, I mean, for lack of a better term, I am the boot guy. I get to oversee and do all the design work for all the Ronix and Radar boots. So I get to work on both the water ski world and the wakeboard world, which is really fun. They're quite different, if you can believe that. I'm sure you definitely can. But yeah, I basically am the design engineer in charge of all the manufacturing, new product development, basically everything that gets it from a napkin sketch to in a box in our warehouse is where I come in with boots.
Okay, love to see that. So obviously you're planning for the years to come. Is there anything you can let us in on coming down the pipe that you guys are excited for over there? On the wakeboard side preferably, but anything on either side?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously the biggest names in wakeboarding right now are pretty much the Stuckey brothers. So congrats, Gavin, on winning Rider of the Year. But we've still got Trent on our team, and his Utopia line's been really good and successful for us so far. So I can't lead too much information on of what's to come, but I can say that like this is a fun time of year where we're putting some finishing touches on designs, and we're already into model year 2026. So we're excited with the competition in the marketplace, for lack of a better term, right? So no secret that Hyperlite 02 boot is out. It's cool to see some new products that'll keep us moving forward, but I can't share too much right now. We're just really trying to dive in and grab as much of the cable market as we can. Yeah,
absolutely. So I'm glad you brought that up, and yeah, we don't need to dive too much into it, but does that give you guys a little bit of added motivation of like, all right, well, there's another, solid boot from what it looks like. It obviously hasn't been tested throughout the, a couple of years now, but it's new on the market. But does that give you guys a little extra motivation to be like, all right, let's, go back to the drawing board and kind of see if we can come up with some unique, cool, creative things to bring into the boot world?
Totally. And that's where I think it's a long time coming, right? I feel like we've had a really good product in the boot world for many, many years. And it's nice to see that other people are up in their game. Our competitors are up in their game to get on that same playing field. And I mean, credit where credit's due. The whole release of that boot and all of the POP and all the marketing stuff and the webpage on their website is nothing but the best. I mean, that is a really good looking product, and they've definitely taken their time to make sure that as it releases, there's no stone unturned, if you will. So that definitely motivates us to continue to stay one step ahead, continue to try new things, try new models, new constructions, new designs, and just making sure that we're not asleep at the wheel, right? We never would be, but now, as much as ever, we're pushing to stay ahead.
Yeah, I got a one last question here before we let you go. What do you think about bringing back the rubber boots? The old suctions where you need the boot goo to get in. Just quick thoughts on those.
I've had a lot of conversations with slalom skiers that will never give them up. So my thoughts would be is that there is some there's some benefits to releasing or having your foot come out of the board during a crash. So I know Mike Sweeney, or however you say his name, down on the West Coast, I think he's still riding them. So my thoughts would be is there's plenty of water skiers out there still doing it. I do think like the supportiveness and a lot of the benefits that you get from some of the newer products is you're not going to get from that old style. But I mean, let's be honest, we've all caught a nasty edge where we've either come out of the board or have come out of the board. And that's pretty much the worst case scenario is when you have to come out of the board, right? So I think there's some things that can be learned in each aspect of all the stuff that we've done and that we're going to do in the future. So I'd say it's not personally my style, but if you're looking to catch some back edges and want to release from the board, that would be my boot of choice.
Love to hear it. Yeah, good insight there, Jack. So yeah, I mean, for the listeners, Jack is absolutely a fucking ripper on a wakeboard. So I'll put some clips in, but won't keep you any longer here. I will be wearing this cheesehead for the remainder of the podcast. I'm sure you'll enjoy seeing that. And next year we will absolutely re-up on a bet of some, sort with the Packers in the line. So look forward to that.
Yep, I'm in it. And I will say, I was watching the pod today with Dylan. Your takes have gotten, lukewarm's even a stretch. Like back in the day when you were jumping on here, there were some fiery takes, and that wheel landed on hottest wakeboard take. We couldn't even come up with something. So I'm excited to hear that you're wearing the cheesehead the rest of the episode, and I expect to hear some piping hot takes.
You know what? That might fire up my, my head, turn this cheese into queso, and I'll get some hot takes firing. So, there
we go.
Yeah, it's just the beginning of the episode, so we'll dive into some stuff here. But thanks for taking the call and taking the time, Jack. It means a lot, and we'll see you around.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Have a good one.
All right, see you.
Nice. So real quick, just for the listener, definitely not for me, but what's the Hyperlite boot he's talking about?
So it's for lack. I mean, what was it called? The 02? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I believe so.
So
What's different about it? It's just lighter?
oh, it's a completely redesigned boot. I'll put some pictures in, but it's, for lack of a better term, I think the reason they brought that up is it looks very similar to Ronix's boots. What boot does it look the most similar to in Ronix's line?
I would say the 1, and I think it's a direct shot. Like the 1, the 0, very similar, and it looks the same. And that's I don't know if you saw the same controversy, and that's why you brought it up, but that's how I see it.
Yeah, and that's, I think the lore behind that is, I believe, and don't fact check me on that, I think Hyperlite hired the guy from Ronix to come and like redesign a boot, or somebody from Ronix to come redesign the boot.
But not the boot guy.
Maybe it was the boot guy. I don't know.
So Patrick worked at Ronix when I was there before Jax. But so he did go to Hyperlite for a little bit.
Okay.
He's no longer there. As far as I know, he did not make that boot.
Okay.
But that was my first thought. I was like, oh, Ronix guy there. He made that boot.
Yeah,
that's a Ronix boot.
Yeah.
And
Would've
the
been my first
one
thought,
is
too.
kind of like their most legacy boot, right? Like
It
that's
is.
kind of just the one you think of.
For sure.
Yeah.
And they have 2 versions of it. They have a higher end and a high end, like already. So
Yeah, I remember back in the day when I was first getting into just like riding different stuff, riding that boot and being like, wow, this is a way better boot than any other boot I've ridden. You know, back in 2013 or something. But it was like, it's comfortable, it's supportive, like
Yeah,
this
it's
thing
no
works.
doubt a high quality boot, very comfortable, supportive. I haven't put one on in a while, but if you put these two boots side by side, they are, almost identical in terms of what they look like. So I'll put it up on the screen for the viewers there. But yeah, that's interesting to hear. It'll be interesting to talk to kind of Trevor and some of the guys at Hyperlite and see, what their thoughts are with this boot. But it's cool to see innovation, I guess, and people putting time and effort into a wakeboard boot because, yeah, it's cool. So yeah, I mean, we'll kind of dive into some industry news. We started that with the boot situation there, but Murray left Nautique is what I see or heard. Dylan, you probably don't know much about this, but yeah,
no idea.
You kind of be teed in on this, but recently he's been with Nautique for what, 20 plus years, 25 years?
I think 25 was this year or last year.
Yeah, so he is no longer officially with Nautique, and he's reviewing other boat brands. I think that's just very interesting to see, somebody with his following and his, if you think of the guys that are still in the sport right now, like Parks, Sean, there's very few that are like legacy type people, and he's one of them. And he decided, or whatever happened, he's decided to go off and review other boat brands, and I think that's pretty interesting.
I think he's at a point in his career where that's fully doable, and like he doesn't need the backing of Nautique. He's not needing the biggest wake out there to go do the hardest tricks. So he took an opportunity, and it actually reminded me. I was watching probably a year or 2 ago now how surfers get paid by Stab. And one of the guys on there was saying, I think in the few years to come, we'll see, not one guy under one sponsor, but, each Instagram post is going to be a new sponsor. So they can, one guy and his following can market to a bigger following. And that's kind of where I tied those two. And I think, there's very good opportunity that you're going to see that more and more.
Yeah, absolutely. I watched that same series. For anybody who doesn't know, some context, Stab is a surf magazine, and you pay for a premium subscription. It's like $7 a month. And one of the video series they did was, like Gavin was saying, how pro surfers get paid. And the person that they kind of double clicked on was Alana Blanchard, who's a super famous female pro surfer whose influence is both within the surf industry and also kind of just in mainstream culture in general. And she doesn't have any like long-term sponsors except for maybe Carmera at the time. And she'll do a post with, one car brand on a Friday, and then 2 Fridays later, like a different car brand, competing like within the same industry. And it will be interesting. And it was definitely a good point. Something that I thought was interesting as well, just to see the landscape change from these like long-term contracts to more just like paying for exposure on people's social media. And just kind of seeing the landscape potentially change over the next, 10 or so years.
Yeah, and this brings up another point because Murray's put himself in a position where he's able to do that, right? Like they're not going to do that with a guy that's, new in the sport, doesn't have that much following, doesn't know what he's talking about, all this, that, and the other. But like Murray is someone who's established himself and has put himself in a position to be able to, say, hey, I think I can do this and, work with X, Y, and Z brands. And I'm not going to put words in Thomas Herman's mouth, but like that seems to be a path that he could be going down in the future where it's like he's building such a big following and a big brand for himself that it could look like that in the future. So yeah.
Well, yeah, I definitely think that's the direction we're moving. Like, that's the asset that a lot of riders are bringing to the table as professional athletes now. It's like their personal brand, their audience, their following, when in the past maybe it's more been their ability to do cool stuff on a wakeboard mixed in with some personal brand. But then the companies take it upon themselves to utilize the rider's ability to do cool stuff to market their own products, when now it's more like they're just taking advantage of their audience potentially, or at least it's shifting in that direction. How do you feel about that, Gav?
Yeah, I think so. And I think Murray's the perfect person to start with, because not only do they see him as a rider, he's a father. You know, his boat IQ is huge, right? He's been on boats for 30 plus years nonstop. He's been on every brand. He knows every wake, how they drive, whatever. So his reviews are going to be top tier, and he's not only looking at it from a rider's perspective, but from a father, you know, having a family on board. And I think that's kind of important when you're giving a review like that.
Yeah, it's huge. We're talking about 6-figure boats here. You know, he's going to be reviewing tons of expensive boats. So that's a, very all-encapsulating thing. Moving on, we got Loic off of Liquid Force, I think. So, I mean, you're probably the tightest with Loic. Is that how you say it, Loic?
Yeah.
So is that official? Like, have you talked to him at all? Like, what's his future looking like?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, needless to say, he had an unfortunate series of injuries where he dislocated one shoulder, surgery to fix it, dislocated the other shoulder, surgery to fix it. It was a whole, probably a couple years on and off where he was not fully 100% on the board, and that it kind of adds up, you know, and it's unfortunate because he's probably top 10, top 5 cable riders in the world when he's at his best. Like, he's undeniably really good on the board, but it just is unfortunate the way it timed up. And I mean, based on his recent posts, he's on a Hyperlite board. You know, Hyperlite hasn't posted anything, so it's not confirmed he's on a true team, but it looks like that's where he's taking his talent.
It's kind of where it's headed, yeah. Yeah, I feel like Loic is without the injuries, you know, he'd be in the podium conversation, seems like, at every big contest, but it's just super unfortunate. That's the way
For sure. And at such a young age, he's got a pretty solid following, too. Like the local park I ride at in NC, you know, there's some local Groms who are really hyped on, you know, to be riding his board a few years ago and just on, you know, his style and what he's got going on. So he's definitely, you know, made a name for himself kind of worldwide, or at least in my little bubble in the U.S.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so good. So good. Xian and Kai are both on what looks like Double Up. I think the Instagram popped up last month or so. Double Up wakeboards seems to be making a return. The boat side of things. So DUP is like the cable side of things. Double Up is the boat side of things. And it looks like Xian and Kai Ditch are both riding these boards. You spent a little bit of time with a lot of familiar guys, yeah? So I mean,
so actually I talked to Kai about this. I was interested as well. So Kai's fully on there. You know, they're going to make a comeback as Double Up. He obviously is their main guy. Making that switch from Liquid Force to Double Up. You know, he's going to probably lead the path in trying to bring some Double Up boards to the boat side, creating them and whatnot. And I'm sure, you know, Cheyenne spent a lot of time with La Familia. I'm sure that was an easy pick for him.
Yeah.
Seeing him not on a contract or with a board company and be like, snatch him up before it's too late, you know?
This is the younger guy who's got the crazy style with La Familia, right?
Xian Takaiwa.
Yeah, the Japanese kid.
Got just some real jaw dropper, wow, that looked good.
Yes. Yeah, dude. What is he, 17? He's I guess
young.
I don't know his age. Yeah, he's young and he's up and coming and unreal style. So those two, it looked confirmed. It looks like, I mean, they're both riding the boards, and I guess I don't know confirmation for sure. But yeah, that's cool to see just another brand come into, you know, the fold and start doing things. Signing athletes is something we all love. We all love to see that, you know, paying riders. So that's cool. So
no doubt.
Interesting to see what comes of the future there with Double Up. We also got Plastic Playgrounds. Looks like it was recently announced to be coming back. Pretty stoked to see that. Gavin, you gonna be going?
100%. Mid-July, dude. That's that one contest that's just, you know, it's bugging me because I was there and I've only competed at it once, right, in pro, and I was there. I was feeling good. It was back-to-back weekends with Worlds. I won one of the Worlds, got second in the other one. It was like, all right, I'm feeling good on the course, feeling good on the cable. I'm going straight in, and I got food poisoning the day of the comp, and I'm throwing up chicken tenders before I go off the dock and just couldn't hold it together.
You didn't have a Michael Jordan flu game,
yeah. You were about to. You just couldn't. That's all right. You got another decade. You can get one. You got plenty of time for more food poisoning.
Sick. Yeah. I mean, I didn't see the purse or anything on this, but it looks, I mean,
15 grand, I think.
15 grand. Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet. Is that what it usually was or?
No, because I think it was more because they used to pay like once you get past a certain round head to head, everyone gets $1,000, right?
Oh.
But so they took that away, but I think the top 4 is still the same.
Okay. Which is, do you remember? Top 4? Not that it,
5, 3, 2 or something like that for men and then half for women.
Sick. A lot of money. So speaking of contest formats and all that stuff, we got a Instagram question from With Vester, and he's wondering, head-to-head competition, traditional or something new, what do you guys prefer? So it can be either, maybe me and you spectating or even you competing, and you obviously competing. What do you guys prefer? I mean, or a mix of it, or, what are you guys looking at?
Well, I think head-to-head's really cool for a spectator because, it's clear winner, or it's super close, and, it gets you on your feet. But I think the bracket can kind of ruin it sometimes because if you end up in the wrong bracket, there can be first, second, and third place all going head-to-head with each other, and then the best rider will win, but the second best rider is not going to get second.
Yeah.
So it kind of throws it up that way. There's all kinds of formats, but I think as a pro rider, your job is to adapt, whether that's to the format, to the setup, to the gear, whatever it is, you just got to do it.
Yeah.
I like that. That's a good take. I, as a spectator and also someone who rides in some contests, I like head to head just purely for entertainment value, just because it just every single matchup is entertaining. And like Gavin was saying, if it's close, that's sick. If it's not close, you're still hyped to see one of the people ride and throw down. But again, that's purely from an entertainment standpoint. So it's really what are these contests trying to optimize for, right? Are they trying to, because either way, it's really good for the sport. Right? You're getting more people if you're really focused on entertaining everybody and the spectators, you're getting more people excited about wakeboarding kind of outside the core. And then if you're really focused on providing a format and judging that really rewards the best riders and is ideally able to pay them and kind of reward them for the work that they put in to dial it in, then that's super cool too. And that can support the sport in different ways, right? If you allow a rider like Gavin or other people to have the chance to financially support themselves and be on board more and just do their thing, that could potentially have an even bigger impact on the sport, just getting people in, keeping people hyped. So it's really just about what you're trying to optimize for. If you're trying to optimize for entertainment, I vibe with head to head.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you made a good point there. Basically, what's the goal of your event? If I was talking to a cable park guy that was trying to run a Grom event in his park. Head to head, I don't, probably not the best for getting kids in the sport, getting them excited, getting them stoked maybe, but I think it's, you first answer what are we trying to solve for here? What are we trying to figure out? And yeah, head to head, if you're trying to get the most entertaining one, for me, I like it too. It sounds like you like it, but I also like a mix of all sorts of different formats as a spectator. If everything was Wake Duel, it would kind of lose its flavor, you know what I mean? If everything was LAO, it would lose its flavor. So I like that there's a different variety of contest formats out there. All right, I think it's time we spin the LF'n wheel of questions presented by Liquid Force.
The LF'n wheel of questions.
Okay, let's go.
So Gavin is the closest. Go ahead and grab that down and get it maneuvered around your get well soon balloon there. All right, so we're going to have Gavin spin the LF'n wheel of questions here presented by Liquid Force. So Liquid Force likes to make wakeboarding fun, so let's make this podcast a little more fun. Spin the LF'n wheel of questions. I believe there's a milk jug on there.
Yeah, there's a milk chug. Let's read them real quick. We got a salty chug, milk chug, a chalky milk chug, and that sums it up. So,
And we're all going to spin, obviously. So what do we got?
We got a favorite Grab Matters episode to start it off.
Oh, okay. Cool. I don't have to answer that one. You get to answer it.
Me?
Yeah.
I don't know, dude.
Were you going to say your episode?
I was like, it definitely popped in my head because I listened to it. I always listen back and I could have answered that better, but I don't know. It's probably got to be some shop talk, just vibe with.
You like those ones? Okay.
Yeah, it's super easy to just put on and, not worry about anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been trying to get some more shop talks going, so that's it's good to hear. People are digging them, so cool.
Nice. We all gonna take a spin?
Yeah, I'll take a spin now here. So,
we're not all gonna answer.
Well, I guess we can. I mean, he's only listened to 6 episodes of this podcast, so
10.
the number keeps growing every time I ask him a little bit.
I mean, honestly, I really liked yours, Gavin. I really liked the segment when you were talking about like your mom and the point system that she had for you guys, and that kind of hyped me up. I actually, after I listened to that, I forget what I was doing or where I was, but I like dialed in a point system for myself to like reward myself with like trips to the Outer Banks and stuff, just for getting the stuff that's within my control done. And like, I liked your whole episode, but I was like able to take some real actionable advice that made my life better, and that hyped me up.
Yeah, that was cool.
thank
That
you.
was a cool part of that podcast.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's like
mostly shout out to Mama Stuckey. But, thanks for
shout
saying
out
it.
Mama Stuckey, dude. But yeah, it's like the little wins count, and like I don't know, any episode that you can take stuff from and kind of relate to or use it, I think is big.
All right, you ready? All right, I'm gonna go ahead and spin this unit. I can't see it, so let me know what I get.
You want to tell? Am I the only one who can see? Chocolate milk jug.
All right, all right. Unfortunately, we can't all do the chocolate milk chug because we only have one. So
How the tables have turned.
how the turntables, yeah. All right, we can have you go, Dill.
Okay.
So that way
Yeah.
they're double entertainment.
We could have
here.
2 milk chugs.
Ooh.
at the
We
same
could.
time.
That's true. I'll wait. I'll wait
I
on
did one
mine.
on my episode and handled it. It'd be good to time because Hunter's like the milk guy. So if I showed you up, core score.
Yeah, that's
Going
true.
down.
Core
All right,
milk
we ready?
score. Yeah.
Ooh, milk chug.
Milk chug.
Is it actually?
No, it's favorite board graphic. It was so close.
Okay. Did I get favorite board graphic on the episode too?
You might have. If you want to spin again, you can, or just pick another one. So, but
Okay.
in the meantime, I will down this milk.
I'll hit the reg milk jug.
You're just
Hell
volunteering.
yeah.
Okay. All right.
We're gonna race.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Yeah. Of
clearly.
course.
Hold on, let me time this.
Do we think?
Time this?
Oh, these are cold.
Yep. I just got them. I put them on
Oh,
ice
you
too.
want to put this back up there? I mean, I guess I got to do fake board graphic.
Gav, thank you. So Gav's gonna time, and I'll put the timer on the screen here.
Yeah, maybe Gav hits us with a 3, 2, 1 as well.
Should we just do a cheers down and go, or do you just want to do a 3, 2,
So like
1?
cheers, hit the table, and then we're ready to rip.
Yeah.
Okay. I kind of got to navigate a microphone.
Actually, no.
here,
It makes
but-
sense for Gav just to do a 3, 2, 1 go because he's got the
Okay,
timer.
man, I wish this could get warmer
Well,
in the next 4 seconds.
Excuses. We're hearing excuses right now.
All right, you ready?
Next 4 seconds. Yep.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, they're going quick. I think Dylan's got the upper hand. We're at 5 seconds. Oh, we're close. Oh my gosh, the chalky wins, dude.
Oh no! Oh no! For the listeners, that came right back up out of Dylan's mouth. He did finish it, but it's all over his shirt.
300 calories of milk was too much.
He should have gone with the chocolate.
Well, you got 7.23, and I guess Dill's still going. So
You better get the Zamboni out. All right, we're going to take a quick intermission. Dill's going to have to change his shirt. All right, so we're back, Dill. Just kind of run us through what happened there before we get into some Instagram clips here.
Yeah, so I got a fresh shirt. Basically, I came in overly confident to the milk chug. If you haven't watched my episode, go watch that because I absolutely handle that milk chug.
I'll put the
But,
clip into that one so everybody can see.
Yeah. Yes, that I'm not a total chump. Perfect.
Yeah.
But basically, to hit the play-by-play, right, we're chugging the milk, and Gavin's like, oh, it looks like Dylan's got it. That really pumped up my ego, because Hunter's like the milk guy, so that would have been a big L for him. And I just committed more and more to pouring the thing of milk in my mouth and thought my, like, gulps would, keep up, and they just didn't keep up. And then I had probably half a liter of milk just in my mouth, and then I got a tickle in my throat, and then, I no longer had half a liter of milk in my mouth, and my shirt is now soaked with milk on Hunter's bathroom floor, and I got a new shirt, and we're ready to rip.
Yeah, you were mentioning before the pod that, Gavin has this thing above his head, the roadie thing. I got a cheese thing on my head. You basically barfed up milk all over yourself. So we all got something going for us today on this pod. So, that was great. Got a new shirt on, and we're getting back into it. So we're going to dive into some social media clips here, and we're going to start with, this is a bit ago now, but, Graham Burris did a collab post with Nike Swim, which is pretty cool. And you might have some insight on this, Dill.
Yeah, so I can't speak exactly to like his relationship with Nike right now, but we did a trip together years ago, probably like 3 or 4 years ago, right when he started his relationship with Nike Swim, and he just kind of told me what he had going down, which was essentially that he was working through a like third party Instagram influencer kind of deal. I think he like submitted his profile, and then brands like Nike Swim and other brands can like look at his account and decide if they want to work with him. And I believe he essentially just got like a message like, hey, do you want to do some collab stuff? And then I think, I could be wrong, definitely don't quote me here, but from what I remember, it's just kind of like a pay-per-post thing, and then they send him a bunch of swimwear, and his relationship has always been with Nike Swim, which apparently they do, you know, cool wakeboarding stuff,
looks like some
and
good shit,
probably competitive swimming, and yeah. So apparently it's really cool to see that he's still got that relationship going, and, you know, hopefully a little bit of extra cheddar bisque in the bank account.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I talked to him about it a little bit ago too, and he was just like, you know, one of the main things was just like, you know, get the conversation started, you know, start talking and, you know, see where it goes from there. You never know where it might end up. So, yeah, it's cool to see. Looks like some good shit that he's on there. Gavin, have you had anybody reach out trying to do some collab posts with you?
Yeah, but not on the Nike level. I'd say, you know, keep it low key. I'm not that big.
Not yet. What's your mindset when it comes to that? Like, I mean, you're not going to say yes to every brand, right? And like probably some brands try and just hit you with like some product, and that's probably a no. But like, yeah, what's your mindset, I guess, going into that?
For sure. Well, I guess, you know, like competing brands, I'm obviously gonna support those who support me. So like if they're competing with Follow or Liquid Force, like I'm gonna honor Follow and Liquid Force because, you know, they have my back, so I'm gonna have theirs. And then I guess like otherwise, like I'm seeing if it's cool if I use the product, like whatnot. Obviously, like I had a sauna like reach out. They didn't even want like posts or anything. Just like, you know, just to have it, you know, do your own thing with it and stuff. Like you see Gunther got like the Ford, and like that's huge. I think like obviously it fits his lifestyle perfectly, towing a boat, you know, doing whatever. But I think, I don't know, I think it's good. The more the better.
Yeah, definitely. And it's kind of leans into that, you know, how surfers get paid thing. We're kind of seeing some of that stuff in action, which is pretty cool. We got, a little bit more industry news, I guess. Max Mildy and Ronix now. I don't even know who was riding before. O'Brien,
yeah.
That sounds right. Yep.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah, Nissan sticker on the board too.
It looks like on the right there. Yeah.
Yeah, Nissan Germany. They got a a decent team.
Yeah, I feel like their relationship with wakeboarding in Germany is like solid.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
Not bad, dude. Get a little van. You get a place to live.
Yeah, it's huge. That's rent, dude. Yeah, so that's cool. We'll see. Max Ripper for sure. We got this. I'll put this clip in here. But we got a boat that is.
They're about to hit a spot. Jake Flintstees.
This boat's about to drop a spillway, and it's looking hairy. So. no real comments on this, but that's just, I wouldn't want to be in that boat at all. Shout out Wake Surf Cali for that. Okay, so I don't know if you guys saw this at all, but this I got sent to me recently, and the title of it is First Ever Simulated Wakeboarding, Wake Skating, and Wake Surfing Pool and Lagoon.
So first impression, not trusting this. This like wasn't even made on Canva. This was like Microsoft Paint. I don't know.
All right.
Wait, go through the photos on it.
So for the listeners, the idea, I think, is the water's moving and you're holding onto a stationary rope and handle is what I'm kind of guessing here. I had a couple people send this to me. So
interesting.
Obviously
I mean, it's got
just a
12
concept.
likes, so it couldn't have been that many.
People send it to me.
Yeah, but there is some validity to that, what goes on there, because I know that people, I don't know exactly what's up, but there's this anchor style thing that you essentially like float down a river, and then there's a pulley on a bridge, and this anchor drops in, and the current like rips the anchor back, and you like ride back to the bridge.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and still don't fully understand how it works or what's going on there, but that is a thing. You can utilize moving water in different ways to keep yourself going. And I mean, essentially, if the water was flowing at 20 miles an hour and you had a rope from a high point and could just jump in it, you would stay on top of the water, stationary.
I mean, we're basically looking at like a flow rider. You know what the flow riders are? And
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah. So the water's pushing and you're on top. Just it looks like, you know, it looks like a wake.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that this says 2016 on the post because
hey, prototype was built and tested, Dylan.
Well,
Eat your heart out. Somebody built this
something
thing.
like this.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. So some guy came, rented out the back corner of ODUP, and like brought 6 huge pumps to pump water, and it was like aqua park material where it was inflatable and it was a big wake like that in the center. And the idea was you hold on to a rope and you cut back and forth and hit the wake. Flow rider, very similar to this, just on a larger scale.
Interesting.
So I know like Dom Hernler was there. They had him go out and test it, and there just wasn't enough water pushing for it to work. So
it was
like,
just kind of halfway sinking.
Yeah. So he's kind of just standing on the inflatable aqua park kind of looking thing, you know? So it was supposed to be a flow rider. They're like, oh, we need someone lighter. So they had me test it. I was, 7 or 8 at the time. I was probably a little bit older, maybe like 10. I was pretty young. So they had me test it. They're like, oh, it's not going anywhere. I'm strapped on my wakeboard. This inflatable thing is like Velcro together, just like an aqua park.
Yeah.
And all the water on it, like, because it's not moving very fast, the water caused it to like open up, and that Velcro ripped, and it just like kind of opened up, and I got sucked under this thing, and it closed back up on top of me. And this is all is all at OWC around 2016. So I don't know if this is the same. I don't know if this is the same guy, but I'm not trusting it.
Well, listen to this. Leading to key improvements that have perfected the simulation. Gav.
Well, they would
made
need
key
some
improvements.
serious key improvements, because like I'm a true American, and they're glad there was no suing going on here, dude. Like my dad like jumped in, pulled me out of this thing. I was fully sucked under this thing. He like grabbed me by the arm, pulled me out. Like my other friends trying to turn the pumps off. Like the dude packed up and left the next day.
Yeah,
it was done. So like,
so do you
I'm not
think this is
trusting
the?
it,
Do you think this is the same thing from what you saw?
So
in our
it
scene?
was a very it's a very similar concept. This
Okay.
is just like, obviously it looks like it's in the shallow end of a pool, which is a necessity because you don't want to go any deeper and have a round 2.
Yeah, it sounds okay. Yeah, I don't know. This is just an interesting thing. I mean, it's in the industry of wakeboarding and stuff, so it was interesting to see. And I'll put the videos in, obviously, what it looks like. But this is something cool. I always like to show off kind of like the innovations. I really haven't seen something like this before. For the listeners, it's an easy get up is how I would say it. It's a tube for the boat that you're sitting on with your board underneath your feet. A wake surfer's doing it in this video, but it could probably work for wakeboarding as well. And it just kind of eliminates, or I would assume tries to eliminate that difficulty of getting up from, floating in the water. You're sitting on top of this thing. So I just thought it was pretty cool.
$90, not bad. We actually utilize this technique at Reel a fair bit. We'll usually just use like a giant inflatable paddleboard, but we do the same thing.
Sick. Yeah.
We just start with like a sit start. If it's like a bigger guy, we got jet skis, so learning how to wakeboard behind a jet ski isn't the easiest if you're working with a bigger athlete. So having the sit start can be nice, and yeah, honestly, that looks nicer than using the paddleboards. I'm probably gonna shoot that their way.
Yeah. And I feel like you've seen some people at winch spots. I definitely am thinking of one.
Oh,
Daniel
interesting.
Grant sitting on a paddleboard to start. So
that happens a fair bit.
the concept is solid, if they're doing it out in the streets, it works. So yeah, that was cool. I feel like the indoor 2.0s need to get a little bit of love. And this homie moved on to a new clip, Yudzin, at Yudzin, is doing a whole lot of 1-footers at an indoor 2.0, and I'm assuming Russia. I feel like they're big in Russia.
Homie doesn't even
Chief
have
keeps
a
on.
second boot.
No, he's got a shoe
I
on.
used to run that one back in the day, but in hindsight, I'm happy I stopped doing that.
Yeah. Hopefully,
I feel like this clip's gonna maybe get some hate from the wake skaters because he's like almost wake skating.
I mean, he's half wake skating, half wakeboard. He's got 1 foot in, 1 foot out, literally.
Yeah.
So,
no, but it is sick, and I do love the vibes of the pools. Like they just look cool, and you can do it all winter. Like you just go hang out at a pool.
Dude, it's the length is obviously not ideal, but dude, you telling me growing up you had one of those? That'd be sick, especially in where it's cold, which Russia it's always cold. So. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the indoor pool 2.0s.
it's like a home gym. You gotta,
Yeah.
Instead of a quick pump, you just go for a quick,
Yeah, you'd definitely be getting gassed riding this thing for sure, down and back.
Need some cardio? Treadmill? Nah. Indoor 2.0 in the garage.
Indoor 2.0. So yeah, I got that. And then speaking of 2.0s, it seems like, I don't know what's going on here, but Victor posted, and I think Daniel Grant also posted on this same setup of a portable 2.0 that I don't think is related to the traditional 2.0. It looks a little hairy,
His
just
head
being
is
transparent. So, and maybe that's just the setup because they got it set up on that, waterfall type thing. But I don't know. I think it's cool to see all sorts of different ways to get the pull going. So
Certainly, yeah. It I mean, Rewinch has an attachment like this,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
It
I've
looks
ridden it.
about equal. Oh, you have. What did you think, and what was the spot where you rode it?
It's pretty solid. I rode it in
Really?
a pool, like for a show, Beach and Boards Fest. We had
Oh,
two
okay.
pools set up, and like and it's normally ran on a winch, and they took a re-winch and welded a tower frame and just put a forklift on one side and a tower frame on the other and ran back and forth pretty good. I did a cab 9 on it, pool to pool. So
Not bad.
Cab 9, not that hard,
there was no
I've
grab.
done those.
There was no grab, but
Well, of course not. Yeah.
but I mean decent tension. It looked pretty similar to this with the 2 cables, but it
So,
definitely
Would it go
wasn't.
both ways, full speed?
It does.
Okay.
It does.
That's cool.
The pool it was a one-way setup. but-
Gotcha.
That's very cool. Would you say you'd prefer that rather than just a straight re-winch setup?
Yeah.
You would? Okay.
Yeah.
And I have to imagine at context like Beach and Board Fest, it probably way quicker.
For
'Cause
sure.
You can just
dude.
rip
For
the
sure.
handle back and not have to have someone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Did
Yeah.
you guys see the Red Bull Heavy Metal? I don't know about the one in Boston. It was probably the same thing, but the one in Duluth this year, they had just a Grom squad of people sprinting the rope back.
Yeah,
I
some
saw
clips
John
of
in
it,
the
yeah.
background in a couple of those videos. He might have got a couple sprints in, knowing John.
Yeah,
He
oh,
probably,
yeah,
he probably
definitely.
brought that rope back a few times.
Yeah. Speaking of re-winch was used at both the heavy metal stops, which allowed for some more hectic clips for sure, sending some flips and stuff. So
That was looking hilarious, seeing these snowboarders just cooking in and trying to time dropping the handle and
Yep.
stuff.
yeah. So re-winch getting some love there. That's cool. And then one last social clip I got. This
So
is
sick.
You know how to say this guy's name? I call him Eggman. Luis
Luis Eggerichs.
Eggerichs.
Nice.
Yeah.
Or Louis, actually.
Louis.
Eggerichs.
Louis Eggerichs. Just sick.
Oh.
So sick. So what are we calling this, Gavin?
$1 billion rewind, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't even know what the first
So-
trick is.
so it's
but
$1 billion baby.
Okay.
Indie
I'm
$1 billion
seeing that.
baby.
Yep,
Yeah,
rewind.
and then
Okay.
he rewind.
You're right.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
sick.
And then he rewinds. So it's more of a kick than full thing. So it's but I'd call it still $1 billion baby rewind.
Yeah. Very very cool.
Yeah, this kid's got sick style.
Super sick style.
I think he's one of the next to pop.
Okay, so that brings me into another question that I had just randomly, and I want to know who you guys think is going to have a standout year, like a show out year where this guy is definitely a name that comes up, but is there anybody that comes up where you're like, okay, this could be their year, standout year that they're going to make an impact?
I think all right. So Louis, obviously, we touched on. I think he got I've been watching him for a while. He's been running up the juniors and then in the pro. He got second at Embley this year, with me, and
Yeah.
he's pretty sick. He's finally finding that groove. There's a point that once you hit the contest, then you find the contest groove, and there's it's 2 different points, and he's getting there.
I kind of want you to dive into that a little bit because I can't really relate to that. What do you mean find the contest groove? You don't get as nervous anymore where you feel like you can put down what you're truly capable of doing, or?
Well, that too, obviously the nerves are one thing, but I think knowing what works and what works for you. So don't just be oh, that's going to score good. Do it, score good in your own way. Or or there's tricks that you think are cool and then it throws you off the deep end. If you're going into a close head to head,
Yeah.
rule number 1, don't leave it in the judge's hands. Right. So if you find your groove and you make it a clear thing, it's going to stand out and it's going to go a long ways.
Absolutely. You got any names you've been, Dylan, that you've been thinking of this year? No?
I got
Nothing
no
coming to
names.
mind?
I'm still waiting for that 2024 Hunter Thane all street part.
It's 2025.
That's what I'm saying. You were claiming 2024 for the past 4 years. You said 4-year part.
COVID. I'm hitting Rudy Tallboys. That's my
True.
guy. That's my guy.
All
I
right.
think he's going to have he had a good year last year, but I think he's got even better this year.
He's dialed in. I really like that clip he just put out with
Yes.
that rewindy thing where he trainee finds down with the
360
unwind.
out, yeah.
Yeah, that was cool. It was
Yeah.
a good clip.
It was a great clip.
There's some French girls that are ripping too, really young, 14, 15. I've seen clips backside 2 and 3s and air KGBs. They're on the come up too. I don't
Yeah.
know them off the top of my head, but the NC clips are flowing.
Yeah, women's game is definitely stepping up too. for
Vanessa
sure.
posted a Moby Dick 5 the other day.
Yeah. Sick.
So
Yeah, anything on the boat side, I think Julia's going to be getting, even
True,
better.
true.
So she'll be one
and
to look
and
out
I
for.
think she's in a good term with Ronix, and that's gonna be cool to bring her up.
Yeah.
fast.
Get proper
Yeah.
definitely. So that'll be cool. Yeah, a lot of young names, which is cool, especially on the cable side of things. All right. I mean, speaking of winter destinations, I think this BDB Rewind was at CWC, right? If I'm not mistaken.
That's Shargow.
Oh, is that?
That's a 2.0.
Is it really?
In the Phillies.
Damn. Okay. Never mind then.
Have you ever been to the Philippines, Gavin?
I've been to Manila just
Okay.
like a few days ripping to see what Phillies was like, but never went to the cable.
Okay, gotcha.
Are you sure? It looks like he goes around a motor tower here.
No, I agree with Gavin. And I know that Cam Corky, who filmed this, was there. Oh, you know what?
No, he's definitely going
yeah,
around a
right,
motor
you're
tower.
right.
I don't know if it's CWC. That doesn't matter. So my point being is, battle of the winter destinations. I'm kind of curious on your guys' thoughts because it looks like CWC is making a little bit of a comeback. Wake Park is Wake Park, and I saw Max was at a park in Argentina, which looked crazy. There's Pampa. I mean, like, what from a rider's perspective, like, what do you guys think? Like, if you were to pick one destination, go 2 or 3 weeks, where'd you go?
Yeah, honestly, I had a great time when I went to CWC. As somebody who's like not trying to, like hone my skills all winter, I'm more like trying to travel and hang out with good people and maybe film some clips. A new country sounds really cool. So yeah, like South America would be tight. That's kind of where my head goes. But it is interesting to see CWC kind of back on the come up after, it seems like Wake Park has kind of had the Asia
reins
lockdown
the
for
lockdown.
the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
Post-COVID.
Yeah, definitely.
What are you thinking, Gav?
Oh, I'm staying home, dude. 100% I'm staying
Orlando.
home, dude. If I can, I'm here, dude. But, okay, from a different perspective, though,
Gun to your head.
well, you can't count on Oz either. This year, there's so many people who went to Australia.
That's true.
Like,
That's true.
So, I don't know. Oz is pretty sick. Like, you can't count that out. That park that Pedro was at for that comp the other day in Argentina looks sick. I've never seen it before.
Me neither. I just showed it to him today, and
It
I was
looks
like, "This
sick.
place, it has a pool,
Gap's looking
Yeah,
cool.
land
like a
gap.
homemade land gap, yeah, which is crazy."
Some sick rails too.
Yeah.
Can out like Hypnotics. Like
True.
it's not as warm, but it's a easy flight for Europeans like to get to in Turkey. Like there's kids there now, mid February, or they were still open. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and then obviously Lunar's got its own thing. It's I think it's pretty cold there in the winter, but I essentially think with the like more core riders are the majority of the people there when it's cold, and they basically have free reign to move stuff around, film whatever, and they have a really cool setup with just for accommodations for people and stuff like that. So that's a good zone, no doubt.
yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the squad at Lunar is
Brazil had its
solid.
run for like a couple years, but I think right now C-Dub is hot.
Yeah. Which is it's cool. I like to see the winter destinations popping off. So I think having several solid winter destinations
Yeah,
is cool.
Ty was getting pretty packed, so I think people were like kind of over the line lap rule and flushed a C-Dub right after they had the Renault and they completely renovated, new features, and it's hot right now.
Yeah. So there you go.
That's a good zone. I don't hate the Orlando answer either. I've enjoyed my days in Orlando, dude. I rode O-Dub twice, went and winged on a lake today. It's good vibes down here, dude.
I don't know about the winging, but
Yeah, I don't know about the winging either.
I will stand my ground on O-Dub till I die, dude.
Yeah, we had some solid sets at ODub. That's definitely true. All right, let's go into drip versus style, Gavin Stuckey, because I want to dive into this one with you. I want to crack the egg on this one. What is the difference between drip and style?
But you tell me, man.
Well, you're the one who wanted to bring. You were the only one who wanted to talk about it.
All right. So I think drip is what you're wearing. Like you're wearing camo.
Your kit,
yeah,
if you will.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Your clothes. For those who don't know, kit.
Yeah.
And I think style is the way your body functions when you have like a board on you. And in this terms, like I think style, like maybe if you're talking about the way you dress, it's style. But when we're talking about board sports specifically, it's the way your body functions. Like how you bend at your hips, how you how you move.
Yeah.
And I think those are two different things. But you like to disagree, don't you?
I don't know if I necessarily disagree. I think that they go together really well. So I think look good, feel good. I definitely believe in that. So I think if you look good, you're going to feel good. You might ride a little bit better. Like when I got a good kit on, I don't have any, factual evidence to back this up, but I definitely look better. Like my style looks better when I'm riding, when I feel good about what I'm wearing, rather than if I don't feel good about what I'm wearing, I probably don't have as good style, but that could be a totally mental thing.
I feel that. I think Gavin's take makes a lot of sense, like coming from a contest rider, because it's kind of like there's execution. Well, roasted. No, but like there's you know what I mean? There's like execution and style in which you do the tricks, but you know, and I totally back that. I agree, but I'm just imagining somebody like in the most whack kit doing something like super steezy and exaggerated, and like I don't think it's hitting. Like a really delayed, like, you know, like back two that's just like super, you know, spun up in like your Christmas tree kit.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just kind of what I'm thinking. Like, just imagine the most whack kit you've ever seen, and then somebody ripping in it, and it's like, is it still gonna hit the same?
Yeah, it's almost kind of distracting. You know what I mean, from the style.
Well, I think if you make it look good, it's like that'd be like a Lamborghini having the most like ugly paint job, but it's still like the fastest car.
It's a good counterpoint. I like that.
You know what I mean? So like, I think there's times where it could go hand in hand, but I'd say for the most part, I consider it different things.
It's still the fastest car, but it's the best looking car.
I think that's subjective, dude.
That's style. You know what I'm saying? That's kit. That's drip.
You're the type of guy. You know what? You're the type of guy that would put a racing stripe on your Tacoma, and then think it makes it go faster.
You know, a couple extra horsepower for the stripe.
The spoiler.
Spoiler on the truck. I mean, I got a hood scoop. I definitely don't need that on the Tacoma. That's for sure. Yeah. I don't know. That's I feel like it's an equation. Do you think it's 50-50, drip and style?
No.
Like, how much percentage are you putting on style?
90.
Okay, next time you go ride, let me pick the kit.
Okay.
I mean, dude, he does have some really good clips in just like an all gray wetsuit. I don't think it's messing with him
That's
that much,
true.
You know?
But I'm going to pick a bad kit, dude. Christmas tree style out here.
So when Hunter mentioned that Gavin wanted to talk about like kit versus style, I'm like, oh, he's about to roast the fools like us that just put on a sick kit and we think our Cab 270s like are equivalent to what he's doing because we have this super baggy kit on.
Yeah, pretty much. You could have stood on business there a little bit, dude. Oh, that's funny. Anything else? Anything else you want to dive in on?
I mean, it is interesting. There. Like, you know, you think about like gymnastics, right? Like they don't pick their own leotards.
Yeah,
that's what that's called, right?
Uniform,
it's just all about like what they're doing in the run and everything. Like that's what the whole sport is focused on. They're not like, you know, she kind of botched that landing, but her outfit.
Yeah, it was sick. That was
Makes up for it, dude. Yeah. Like, that's not going to happen.
Interesting. Okay. So do you think that in a contest, everybody should wear the same thing?
Well, they kind of do.
It would make it easier to judge.
Yeah. Well, I don't think.
I mean, Gunther wore wake pants and a jacket at LAO, and some cats in a skin tight wetsuit.
For sure, but I mean, I don't think that matters at all. I think if you're judging on that, like, you shouldn't be judging.
Yeah, facts.
So, I agree. And in wakeboarding, you can only go so baggy because like you're going 20 miles an hour, so it kind of like pushes against your skin, dude. But these snowboarding comps, like you watch Dusty Hendrickson in a super baggy kit, it's like, bro, he could wobble the landing and you wouldn't be able to tell without like 240p.
You got some delay on the.
Yeah, I agree with this. Like, if you are in like, dude, like Rocco, do you know Rocco Jameson? He just got third at X Games, dude. He's running some baggy pants, and like he was doing some tuck knees. I was like, maybe his knees aren't that tucked, but the pants are tucked. So like,
he's got some weights in the pant with little magnets that are going to the board.
Dude, it 100% helps. Like in that sense,
Yeah.
I think you could definitely get away with some stuff. But I'm sticking with the 90-10.
90-10. Okay. Yeah, I'm 90-10 the other way. So I'm kit. I'm all kit, baby. Where you at? Give us some numbers, Dill. Where you at? Hit us with a hard number.
Yeah, I mean, I like where Hunter's at because I'm not trying to land any 1080s, but I can go to Goodwill and find a fire kit and be fired up about the same tricks I've been doing since I was 15. Yo, let's film this.
True. That was a good back and forth on kit versus style there. Yeah, let us know in the comments what you think about the kit versus style debate. All right, so I think we dive into another segment. This one presented by Slingshot, and it's the Slingshot Slhouette Challenge. So I printed out a couple pictures, one for each of you guys, and you're going to have to try and guess one at a time who you think this rider is. I'm going to start with Gavin Stuckey. So go ahead and flip that over. I'll put it on the screen for the viewers to try and guess who this rider is.
Are you serious?
It was that easy?
It's Timo Kappel.
Let me see the.
Damn, I did not think it would be that easy. I was going to pick an easier one.
My favorite rider, dude.
Do you know the photo?
100%, dude. It's
okay.
Timo.
Okay.
Well, not the photo.
Right.
I know the clip.
Okay.
Yeah. Fair,
he
fair.
gave me one of Jake, and it was like cake on the last one. He
Yeah.
said this one was going to be hard for me, so let's see it.
All right. So, well, you got it right. I mean, I think it's going to be hard for you.
This is Nickelduck.
Fuck, dude. I'm
Well, it's just because I know the video.
well, yeah.
That's the thing. Like, I
You
don't
guys are
remember
good.
which
You guys are
video,
good.
but this was the era that he put out several videos. And I can see that he's wearing systems, and yeah. But honestly, if I didn't like recognize the clip, kind of, it would be tough.
Yeah.
Just looking
Well,
at
we
the
got
silhouette
students of the
of
game
the
here,
person.
dude. We got
That
two
is
students
fair.
of the game.
We do.
I shouldn't be ashamed. You guys got those.
Yeah, this is from the Mystic video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
You could maybe make like the whole like. would
Yeah, you
pull
can
the shadows
silhouette.
down even more.
Yeah.
So like the whole image is like more
Ooh,
silhouetted
yeah,
for
true.
people who got it going on.
Yeah, got it going on.
Yeah, what do you think? Would that have been easy for you?
Yeah, do you know who that is? Nicola Duck.
Here, we can
Gavin?
switch. I do, but
Well, I wouldn't have got this one, but I helped.
I definitely wouldn't have got this one either.
Oh, funny. Yeah, I wouldn't have got this one because I helped Hunter pick this out.
Yeah.
Well, let's say, who would I have thought this was based on the helmet and stuff?
I
don't
gonna
know.
pick a
This would
different
have been
Timo
tough
one,
for me.
but yeah, Timo's.
Honestly, though, looking at the Ollie and seeing that it's a street spot, like how big this Ollie is, I might have just threw Timo out there. 'cause
Yeah,
it's
there's
like,
not a lot of names,
fools
yeah.
are jumping that high.
Yeah,
Like with a low pole, too. Shoo.
and the stand's too skinny to be Joey B anyway. So yeah, that's all right. Well, there you go. You guys are 2 for 2 there. Should have switched them up, I guess. But all right. Speaking of, I feel like I was just talking about Joey B there. Some riders have signature tricks, and I think this would be kind of an interesting topic to discuss because there's a lot of riders that do, not the same trick over and over, but they got a trick where if you think of that trick, it's like, oh, I'm thinking of that guy. Joe Battleday, nose press. Like if you were to ask first rider that comes in my mind, Joe Battleday, nose press. And I'm wondering if you guys can think of any other riders that you're like, oh man, think of that trick. Like, yep, that's that guy. Like,
So this
that's
wasn't
him.
a trick that was done very often, but it's just always stuck in my head as one of the coolest things, and it's just imprinted. But Mitch Langfeld in that Humanoid movie where he does the back 3 to method. So it's like a back 450 to
I got
method.
you.
And it's kind of like the whip of the corner.
Yeah.
That's like, again, he didn't do that one all the time, but that's very like iconic. Haven't really seen too many people mess with that since. I thought he did it really well.
Yeah.
Jake Palat used to do that on cable like back in the day, and
Okay.
that's who I associate that trick with.
Okay.
Interesting. You got any, Gavin?
Like modern
It could be old school. It could be modern. I got the.
I mean, there's a few people back in the day, I don't know names, but just with like solid front flip to fakies.
Yeah.
And that was always a trick. I'm like, yep.
those just
that
look so
unit
good.
looked
dude.
good.
Behind the boat.
I'd say back like this isn't that back in the day, but Windsor used to run the front to fakie like big time
Yeah,
off
he
the
did.
kicker,
Yep.
like for big air and stuff. So that's not too modern. If you go modern, I guess I think Trent's like Crail or Black Meth Moby Dick.
Yeah. That's a good one.
For him, because
It's a really good one.
no one on cable really does that.
Who do you think of first when you think of back 'em up 5?
Back Meth.
I think of Rathy just because he was like running that one back in the day, and I watched the recap of that Red Bull event like 100 times when I was 13, and he did it in that contest, and the announcer's like, he's one of the only people in the world who can do this.
Yeah. Who's your first name that comes up?
I do Back Meth 5s all the time.
He was the one that came to my mind when I thought back 'em up 5.
It
That's
took
funny.
me so long to learn that I just love them now.
That hyped me up to hear you say that in your episode. That like back mode 5 was a toughie for you, and then it took like 6 months of a battle. Because I have
Yeah.
tricks like that, and I'm just not as dedicated, and I'm just like, I feel like I'm to the point in my progression that any tricks that feel natural to the way my body moves, I already learned. So every other trick is like, shit, this is going to be hard.
It's a lot of cobwebs that you're trying to dust off to get that
like
one
my
learned.
body mechanics don't work.
Yeah.
Maybe I have some bad habits that come out during those specific tricks. Like early handle passes or like not waiting to the top of the kicker to pop, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Another person though that trick associated, I feel like Dom Hernler used to do those kind of like tweaked out melon back mobs like all the
The
time.
money mob.
Yeah,
Money
yeah.
mob.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
why do
that
they call
name.
it the money mob?
Because he made bank with
They had a lot of money off the money mob.
Well, also, dude, he would fall on it in his first
This is
run.
what I wanted to hear.
He would fall on it in his first run, and then have you ever seen him fall on it? And like in your life, does this guy ever fall on a trick that he named? Probably not. But in this first run of every contest you go and watch, he'd fall on a money mob, and then in the second run, oh my gosh, the pressure's on, and he stomps it and wins the contest. And like in 2015 and 2016, won every contest like there was.
He knows what's going
That's
on.
strategy.
He knows the formula.
Yeah.
Dude, there's no way as human beings, like judging something, that like the hype of, something coming down to the wire does not affect you.
Yeah.
Like in at least a little way.
You
Like you
saw
gotta
him
be
fall.
extremely objective to
Yeah.
not let that affect you in any way.
Yeah.
100%.
Money mob. So are you going to
100%.
implement that?
The money move or the falling?
The strategy of falling.
Dude, like, it's pretty hard because then you have the pressure on yourself. Like, oh my God, I might fall on this
That's
trick and
the
never
thing,
fall.
yeah.
That's the risk you got to run.
But
Yeah.
dude, like, there could be a play right there, dude. Like, I'm all about the money, dog. Money mode sounds good to me.
Money Mode 5.
I think Busty Dunn, Osmosis Mode 5.
Oh,
Ooh.
yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, and he does that one a lot, like in
Yeah.
demos.
Like it's easy for him.
Yeah, I think it's easier than hand the pass. I was talking to him. It's like the same or like just as easy.
He's
as
just
the
done it
hand
that
the
many
pass.
times.
Yeah.
I guess Joe Battledade back 9, like the late grab,
Mm-hmm.
but that one definitely comes to mind for me. I feel like he runs that one up. There's got to be some other ones out there. DG back 5, I feel like he does a huge
Yeah.
back 5.
He's been doing that
Or-
for a long
yeah,
time.
long time.
Or the stalefish to method.
Ooh,
Have you seen
yeah.
that?
Yeah.
DG, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
there's
those
one of
clips I'm thinking of at when he's at TSR. I don't know if he does those tricks, but I think he does. I don't know if he ejects from the thing or not, but he just like rips up on shore.
I think he immediately lands and then like
Yeah.
doesn't
Just
have the
on
handle
shore.
though.
He's like laying on
Yeah.
his knees. Yeah. That one's wild.
yeah. All
Yeah,
right.
back in the day though, whenever he first started like riding that really big board and would just send the kicker like as large as any human could, he was probably like 16 at the time, and would do those like stale or method to stale to some back one, right?
Yeah.
Usually. Yeah.
Front one, back one. Yeah.
Ethan did that trick a few years ago, made it look really good. Same deal, like method to stale to back
It's a sick trick. Yeah.
fire clip.
I think Johnny D Pete 5 was like another one for a while. That was like the only trick I saw him do for a long time.
He's a big P5 guy.
Yeah.
Pete 5.
Knows Pete 5.
All right, so we got diving back into it. I got a Red Bull here. We're getting hooted and booted. But Gavin, you had a hot take on your individual podcasts, and I kind of want to hear you talk a little bit more about it because it was talking about contest tricks, right?
Yeah, so, I took a lukewarm as a quote from you where I said like, oh, Toback 7 just like should be out. Like
I felt personally attacked by that.
The
'Cause
Toback
I got
7?
Toback 7 every lap, and that's like if there's a girl on the dock, like Toback 7.
So I have
So
Toback
I felt
7 every lap.
attacked when you said that.
that's fine. If there's a girl on the dock, that's chilling. I'm saying in
double
comp,
helicopter,
in comp.
Okay, that's fair.
Okay, so you're standing by that one. You got anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, so I listened it back and I thought of this right away. I just couldn't think of it on the spot. I think if you make a trick look too easy, it can get underscored or undervalued. And if you make a trick look super hard, maybe it goes the other way. And like, I don't know, I wanted to get a different viewpoint. Obviously, you guys watch contests. Maybe you see this. I ride in the contest. I'm thinking it has happened before. So I don't know. What do you guys think?
I could definitely see it happening for sure. Definitely. Do you have any examples?
Like an easy one is an ollie. Some people have higher ollies than other people, and like if you make an ollie, like you slam into it and make it like, look real hard, and someone else like they don't do it in the run, but they can just like ollie and float right up there. Like that's an easy option.
Okay.
I like it. I absolutely agree. And as a spectator, that for sure makes a difference, especially because I'm watching the contest to be entertained. I'm not trying to like objectively judge it. So my objection is all out the window. But if it's something that seems like a little loose or is very obviously outside of the person's comfort zone, then of course I want them to like land that, and I'm like way more hyped up when they do land it. And I think it just comes down to humans' like natural affinity for the underdog, because that's relatable to 99% of the population. Like only 1% of the people, just by definition, are going to be, extraordinary and like be on the top and in that top 1%. And I think especially in wakeboarding, right? If like it's not these people's full-time job and careers, and the industry just obviously can't support that to be judges, then, they're not going to be super tuned into that. And if something like looks a little more difficult, I think it is totally within reason that just to be influenced by like, oh, that looked more difficult, like that you could tell that was, and just be hyped up on it and have that affect your score a little bit. Just like we were talking about earlier, potentially like if somebody falls one run and then gets it next run, you're just like, you're a human and you're more hyped and like you got endorphins going, your heart rate raises a little bit, and you're maybe a little more generous with the scorecard.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting.
The Ollie one was a good one because I for sure like the street style rails, like the cock and balls with the high ledge. Like I have an Ollie where I can like rip into the side of it and bash into it and almost like wally and get on top of it. And then I've seen other people kind of half load and just like, right up there. And what I do absolutely looks harder. Like for sure.
Yeah. So that's like perfect example, I think. Another one, it could be like, maybe you're doing a transfer and you like one person makes it like effortlessly and the other person gets like, as soon as they land, they make the impact look more. They squat real low and then like they ride away like, like there's, I don't know. It happens all the time, I think.
I mean, I feel like Trent is the king of making shit look easy, like especially when it comes to ollies. I don't know how he does some of the ollies he does. Like
DG's on a similar way.
DG's same thing where it's like it just looks like an ollie. It doesn't look like a half load. But I like in no way could I ever see myself getting the height.
Luke Holmes has some good cable tension knowledge as well.
Yeah.
Like watching, those are the only two people, I'm sure there's plenty more, but that I've seen on a regular basis just lapping the cable do crazy stuff over the XL. Like back five, roll to blind over the XL. And I'm
the roll the blind over the XL. Like that's crazy to me.
Yeah.
You know?
I tried to Ollie it the other day and just like knees buckled, almost like hit myself in the mouth. Just didn't make it over.
Well, I think the roll of blind, I see it more as like air trick. But like Ollie stuff, like back five or, like I've seen Trent do toe Ollie back three over an XL. I've also seen him Ollie over the flat bar of the pool gap, like over it and then land in the water next to it. Like,
yeah, that's wild.
Okay, so I mean, you have a maybe not quite to Trent's crazy Ollie, but you can definitely do some Ollies. What's the technique that we're looking at when it comes to like getting that height?
Oh, it's actually like the push in your front foot, like on the edge of the board. Like Graham actually probably has the highest Ollie out of anyone that doesn't do the edge of the board. Like
he just does a traditional standard issue,
like a skateboard, slam your foot down, bring it back up.
Okay, that's what I'm thinking when I do an Ollie. So elaborate even more.
Yeah, we need
me
more
how
about
to do
this.
Okay, well actually, well first I go in. I think while we're on the topic of Graham, he's like one of the guys that will make a trick look hard as well. And I think he does it a lot in the videos that he does, where he'll show him getting smoked, and then right after it's the make.
Yeah.
So I think that
and
that goes into it.
Hearing like what you said about people like squatting real low, like he does that all the time. Like he'll back four on a rail and land, and his butt will almost be on the rail, and it looks good. It's like good style, but you're right, it looks difficult. It's like, dang, that was sick that he landed that.
Yeah. So I think so the Ollie thing, it's like completely once you like figure out how to Ollie, you kind of just unlock a new thing. But for me, it's like Ollieing off the rail of the board. But it depends what board you're on, because some boards don't let you do it. Like maybe it's a flat bottom, it's got pretty thick sidewalls, maybe there's chimed rails, and it will slip when you try and do it. But you just like, it's like a mini flick or a half load where you dig like an air trick, but just not to the extent, and you don't do the edge in that you would on an air trick, but you just dig your sidewall in, and you can kind of load. The cable's like a rubber band, right? So if you pull on it, it's going to pull it back, and you're not going to win that, so don't try, but you can use it to your advantage, and you can use that sidewall of your board and kind of push against the cable, do like a little reverse soccer kick, flick type thing, and it works a lot better.
I need to try this.
So if you're, let's say, to keep everything simple, there's an XL kicker on the left side of the cable, and you're approaching it left foot forward, so on your heels, and you want to jump over it. Are you jumping off your left rail, like your heel side rail, or your toe side rail? Your heel side rail. So you're basically, it's basically just like an air trick cut counter to the direction of the cable to like get a tiny extra bit of tension to shoot.
Yeah, you'll see, like Graham is like probably the only pro rider that doesn't do this Ollie.
Okay.
Like you see it all the time. Like it's literally just a way to get, it's a more advanced Ollie, but it's what it is.
Yeah, I'm gonna try this next time I go to the cable.
Is this like basically all of your Ollies, even if there's a like thigh high unit rail? Are you still Ollieing up there like that?
But
No. Like you can't use it for everything. Like if you're gonna go do an Ollie toe back too, like you can definitely scoop, but like at some point it's going to affect where you land as well. So if you need the precision of, I'm going to do a toe back two and land on the skinny pipe, you can't use it to its full advantage because you got to use that. You want to go off a flat foot so you land on a flat, like you don't go to the left or right, you know, and it's unpredictable if you're doing that kind of ollie.
Okay, I'm thinking of a clip where I think Liam Peacock does like toe side ollie back 4 onto a rail at CWC. Is he using that probably for like an ollie back 4, or is it that's
well, if the rail is like, if they're not ollieing right in front of it, there's like a 100% chance that they're using the edge of their board.
Okay.
Like unless you're like going like a ride on, you just ollie the safety, then like they're probably just ollieing like a normal ollie. But if the rail is on your right side or your left side, like there's a great chance you're ollieing off that rail.
Interesting.
I mean, I do think, like, because I'll have times where I ollie over the XL, and I'm like, that was easy, dude. I had, like, an extra 6 inches. And I try to think of that a little bit, but I've never broke it down of, like, trying to engage my rail and do a little, like, skirt right before. Or skirt's the wrong sound effect, but.
Sure.
Yeah,
like
it's more of a grip than a like slide. Yeah.
Interesting. I got one thing that I'm thinking of now that we're talking kind of like the ins and outs of riding. So when I see Trent, and sometimes you cut into kickers and other riders too, they'll be like, let's say you're going for a big spin or a flip and with a lot of spins, whatever. It'll be a really aggressive cut and then let off.
Yeah.
Can you just run me through that? Because like I don't know, I've never done that before.
It depends on the trick
and like why you would prefer to do that, I guess.
Are you talking like, okay? So I think what you're thinking is there's this clip where Trent spins switch front side and he does this big hop in front of the
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay. That's a Yonel trick that he used to do, like to break the tension to spin switch front side. Well, he spun reg front side, but same kicker.
Principle, yeah.
Yeah. Like, and I don't know why it works, but it works. Like you go hard and let off. Like, I don't know if you're gaining speed and then you're going the same speed. Like I don't know. With the hop, it just works. It's like when you do toe side air trick and you double edge it, it just works. Like you'll see people do air chromos where they edge, let off, and then edge again.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the principle is there. I didn't go to science. Like I'm not a physics guy. Like maybe ask John Dreiling with the 8 years of school he did, but like it just works. And there's stuff like that all the time. Like another one, there's like, when you're learning toe back 7s, it's pretty hard. But then when you do it, you realize you rotate around the handle on the first handle pass, and then it's like super easy.
Maybe that's the reason I can't do back 9s, because I don't think of it that way.
It's like doing a back 3 onto like the side rail of a pool gap. You rotate around the handle instead of pull the handle to you, and then you don't have as much like slack.
Okay, for someone who's listening, what do you mean by rotate around the handle? If they maybe don't understand that.
Like bring your body closer to the handle and not the handle closer to your body.
So an actionable tip for this, and you'll watch like a lot of these guys, like Trent's handle placement, like when he's cutting in for like any kind of chromo variation, it's like all the way to his right hip. And there's other little tricks. Like I'll do it when if I'm just doing like a back 2 to stop, like a back 2 transfer to stop myself from yanking on the handle when I'm on the kicker, I just come in one-handed with the kicker or with the handle already glued to my hip. That way I know I can't like exaggerate and yank it, and I'll have a more consistent amount of tension throughout the whole trick. And it's not like, because if you do a toe back 7 that way, and like have your arm all the way out and then rip it, right by the time you finish the first backside 3, that tension's picking back up again, and it's really hard to continue to spin and pass the handle again.
Yeah, and while on the topic of toe back, that let off lets you build speed. Like if you're edging in and then you let off, you'll see a lot of guys do this like glide where they almost go like board
Ethan
slide.
does that really exaggerated,
Yeah, so that, I think the reason of that is it just builds speed so that you're like, if you go off the kicker and then you start going slower than the cable, you're gonna get a yank, right? If you're going faster, you're gonna have like a lot of maneuverability with the handle and the rope, and it's not gonna pull back on you.
Yeah.
Because if you fight the cable, it's gonna win every time. Like there's 6 people on it, and it's winning all the time. Like 6v1.
It's winning all day. It's 6v1, dude.
So like you can't win that, but there's like, I don't know, you just pick them up, and there's stuff like that, like the glide in, and I don't know. There's all sorts of things.
I really like what you said about thinking of rotating around the handle, because I do that trick. Like, I try to keep the handle glued to me so I don't yank it, but thinking about like rotating my body around, I think makes a lot of sense. Like, the handle's just going to stay in the exact same place relative to my body distance wise, and my body's just going to shoop 360.
That's a good way to visualize that.
And like with Trent Pete 7 or Crow 7, when he glues the handle to his hip, like he's got some insanely strong like rotator cuffs to keep that thing there. Like,
yeah, no one else does that.
Like, yeah, and it's like obviously it works for him, but you got to have some really strong freaking shoulders to keep that handle there while you're upside down and like not move it, you know?
Interesting.
You're like, you got to hold your body. So like 150, 200 pounds, like you got to hold yourself there with just the power of your like hand.
Yeah, not a muscle that's big and
yeah.
for something like that.
It's your internal rotator cuff. Like that's basically
that
what
makes
it
sense.
is.
Yeah, thinking of like holding it right there, it'd be a lot. Unlike your pack and your rotator cuff. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
I like this. We're getting in the
I don't
weeds.
even know how we got here.
I just learned. I know what I learned is I got terrible fundamentals, because when I do toe back 2 and toe back 7, I am not rotating around the handle, dude. I am
giving free coaching here, dude.
yeah. No, it's solid.
These are huge tips.
I think me and Hunter are pretty like relatable skill level for people to go to the cable on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people are gonna take some away. You might get some DMs about some one-on-one coaching.
Yeah, if you want to hear some more advanced stuff like that, yeah, definitely. I mean,
that's the stuff that will get you hyped up to go ride, though.
Well, that's got me hyped up to go ride right now. Like doing the Ollie and then rotating around the handle, because like I did toe back 2, toe back 4 transfer at OW the other day, and that is absolutely not what we're talking about right now. Is how I was doing it. Handle was up here at the top of the kicker, pulled it down, slack in the air. I mean,
yeah, if you're scared of not getting the handle pass, that's a great way of getting the handle pass. And you can do a back 4 to just like hit 5 feet of a rail and then ride away and still have it be fine. But if you want to do a rewind or have like, just feel good and like be able to spin off the rail or land in a press, then you need that tension to like feel consistent.
Yeah.
Rewinds are like, yeah, you get real deep into this. And I love rewinds. It's probably my favorite trick. Like no other sport really does them, or can do them, So I do them all the time. And you'll pick up tricks with those too. But I guess I'll keep something, Can't
gotta keep something close to the vest.
But all of these things like are what makes a trick, or what makes you make the trick look easy. Like if you do all these things, it looks effortless. Like Shane O'Neill skating.
Yeah.
Like it's all these things, and I think that's where we're going.
Yeah. I mean, how do you feel about, we don't have to get too deep into the weeds here, but obviously a lot of the people that are judging wakeboarding at these competitions, like they're probably all really talented wakeboarders who are like better than me and Hunter, but they might not have like your level of understanding about like all of those nitty gritty little things. So like, how does it feel? Yeah, is it like frustrating or annoying, or you just have to kind of play the hand you're dealt?
Well, it's funny you say that, because most of them are actually wake skaters. Like Andy Kolb and Maury judge probably 90% of the contests.
Yeah.
And either one of them's a head judge, and they're wake skaters. So, but it can be frustrating, like, because you pick stuff up when you're the only one doing a certain trick, and you're like, dang, like I really think this is the thing, and you're like, it doesn't get rewarded, or it can be anything, like, and it gets frustrating, and like you just got to build on it and stick with it, and like hope to see the bright side at the end of the tunnel, or else like Mossy with rewinds, like he was getting underscored and dogged on rewinds on boat for the longest time, and you'll hear this from like every guy in the boat world, and now the most popular trick in a run is like a 3-to-1, like, you see that all the time.
It's interesting hearing what you say about sticking with it too, because sometimes you might need to do a trick enough times in a contest for them to have a conversation about it and like really talk about like, where do we actually want to score this? Yeah. Like, and maybe have that conversation multiple times. And that might take a year of like not getting the contest result you want.
Yeah, that's interesting, because I would imagine Massey was in a position where he was like, if I want to win, I need to just change, not do these rewinds, but obviously stuck with it, and the conversation was had, and now we've seen a little bit change. Is there anything specific in the cable world that you're seeing, like, it's kind of similar to the rewind that you guys are doing?
I don't know. You see Tootsie rewinds here and there, and that's, like, kind of a new thing, but I don't, like...
I think Hunter more meant, like, maybe a trick or a style of tricks that people are doing and hyped on but aren't getting scored that well.
Yeah, that, like, the same lane that Massey was going down. Is there anything you're seeing in cable where it's like that might not be getting rewarded
right now?
I don't know. Like, it's pretty hard to say, because with boat, it's always the same wake, but every cable is like it's a different setup everywhere. Like
the only similar thing
it doesn't
with
always
kickers
apply, you know. Like on kickers, like I've said it once, I'll say it all day. Like it's a blind Pete, it gets underscored all the time. But like on air tricks, like you'll see it. Like here, I thought I learned this the hard way. I was doing air chromobes here, doing good in contests here, and if you go to Germany and do an air chromobe for them, that's like it's like this. So that will not get scored well.
That is interesting because, like U.S. riders,
the
very
culture
few
there is,
do toe side air tricks.
Yeah.
There's like 24 in the U.S., from my perspective, that do them at all, and maybe like 10 who like actually care to get good at them.
Yeah.
And yeah, in Europe, it's way more normal. It's like, oh, I'm a regular rider. This cable spins counterclockwise. Like, I'm just going to do toe side air tricks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. There's a few, but I think it just changes here and there. Like depending on
There's a lot more variation and change in cable.
Yeah.
In terms of the parks and the events. All right. So we got a Patreon question from Ryan Eubanks. And we're talking about he's talking about, in terms of growing the sport, should the layout of a cable park be more beginner, intermediate, or pro level friendly? In general, what's a good balance for cable parks? His example is half rails, half kickers, 2 kickers, more rails. Like, what do you guys think in terms of, what you'd like to see at a cable to kind of grow the sport, I guess?
I think it's really important to have just as someone who's like taught so many people how to wakeboard, and obviously some of them are coming in with like, some balance or some board sports, and the very first day they strap on a wakeboard ever in their life, they make it around to motor tower first try, they make it through motor tower second try, and then they're like, now what? And those are the people that have real potential to like fall in love with it and come back on a regular basis. And it's very important to have something that they, like a piece of plastic that they can slide relatively close to the start dock, that they can like land that very first day. And I think there's a few that check that box. Like a unit pipe is like on the very high end of that. Like it's possible, but not ideal. Like the coffin box, a dance floor, or a smaller medium kicker. All of those are things that somebody could hit their very first day wakeboarding and ride away. And I think that's super important. And for me, that's like 70 to 80% of the equation. And the other 20% still matters. But that's what's super important for me for growing the sport. And we're talking about one feature, not an entire layout. It can be relatively advanced other than that. And obviously there are nuances, like, you don't want them to feel like they're running a slalom course to have to, avoid features. So you want to keep that in mind. But that's the biggest thing, is just have a feature that's relatively close to the dock that the operator can be like, oh, you just like pulled the handle in or immediately tried to like edge through the kicker instead of getting on a flat base. And luckily most parks have a small kicker relatively close, but it's even better if it's like a dance floor or coffin box.
Yeah. Is he talking like if there's only one cable?
I would assume yeah.
Okay. I think, dude, what you said about the unit pipe, I think every park should have a unit pipe. Like,
I think we all agree on that one.
Yeah. No, it's
For
great.
sure.
100%.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like flat bars, just a regular flat
hit it with the
bar.
unit pipe, dude.
But the unit pipe, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a big fan of kickers because, like, without kickers, like, you're going to be behind. Like, my first year I went to Europe and I had, a couple of tricks, and I was like, I was a rail rider 100%, and that's where I was lacking. If you don't have 2 XLs like we have at OWC, like I was able to learn stuff on both sides. But that, like, so if you only have 1 XL and then a medium on the other side, you're going to be lacking on one side.
Yeah.
Like, even if you switch it, like, you're always going to want to try something new,
I think a symmetrical kicker layout is kind of underrated. I'm not a big kicker guy. I'm a medium kicker guy, obviously, as we know. But I think a symmetrical layout is like really important, because the place Action has 1 large and then like 2 mediums, and they're always like going between swapping. Oh, people want the large on the left. Oh, now it's on the left for too long. Put it on the right, and it's like you can't consistently learn both sides tricks. So it's like that. I think that's something that is important. Whatever size you get, I think having symmetrical on both sides is important. And yeah, definitely echoing what you were saying, like just an easy thing to slide.
I'm a big fan of just having everything, and I think that's why 313 is like so good. It's like, as long as you got a rail to rail, a wall, and a transfer, like, and 2 kickers, like, and like, you're gonna hate this, but a corner for air tricks, like, you're kind of set up. Yeah. You're kind of set up for everything, and I really like what Dylan said about like hitting something. I think the kicker does it the best, because like you don't want to show your friends that you hit this little box, but like, I want to hit this jump, like, and that will get someone hooked, and having one of those, like, for sure.
Yeah, and the kicker, the good thing about it is you fall in the water. Like,
Yeah.
You're going to go off and you're not going to land it first try probably, but you're going to just fall in the water. Whereas if it's a rail, you can kind of fall on the plastic, which doesn't hurt that bad, but,
Yeah,
could
and then-
discourage you.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing for trying to optimize like advanced versus, beginner friendly features or like, kicker or transfer to other rails, it's just like, what's the goal of your park, right? Like what are you trying to do? Are you trying to get the most people into the sport? Are you trying to have a really profitable business and grow the sport that way and, expand to a second location? Or do you want something that core riders can, really enjoy their shoulder seasons at, and during the summer, also be able to supplement that income a little bit. So just having a good, and obviously, right, it makes sense. That park will have more advanced features, and a park that's optimizing for revenue or growing the sport is going to look a lot more similar to like OWC's beginner cable. It's going to have a flat bar, a couple small kickers, some things like that. So just understanding like what you're trying to do with the park. I've been fortunate enough, and I think we all have at this table, to ride a bunch of different parks, and as someone who doesn't compete at them, I'm usually not super critical. I'm just like, oh, I'm at this new park. This is what they got going on. Cool. Like for me, there's going to be something to Wally. There's going to be a kicker for me to do a half cab on, and there's probably going to be a transfer for me to do a cab 2 or back 2 and be like, sick, that was fun.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think setup is important, but so are vibes and the people there. Like I've had more fun at cables that have mediocre setups than I have at cables that have great setups with bad vibes. So yeah, good banter there on that. We got a question from the crew at Elevated, where you ride, Dill. So they're wondering, who are the most creative riders of all time, and is creativity important? If so, why?
Yeah, it's important. I think so.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I think just talking about, most creative riders, obviously from my, my viewpoint and the people I'm around, like people who are really outside the box, like Clark Davis for sure. Like he's doing his own thing. He's throwing the handle over stuff like on a regular basis, been filming parts for years. Big time, just doing like really creative and different stuff on a regular basis. And I think, obviously creativity is really important. And it's like tolerated more or less depending on the context you're in. If you're filming video parts, as long as you do it well, has the most tolerance for being creative. I think in a contest setting, you can only go like so far outside the box. If people just have no idea how to judge the trick that you just did versus someone else's, unless it's just overwhelmingly obvious, which it probably won't be, it's probably not going to do very well for you, at least for a couple years until a couple other people start to catch on and there's time for those conversations. So while it is important in a contest setting, you also can't go like too far. They have to have something to compare you against.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to go like different right here, like creativity in a way that we saw Grubb like jump off a building.
Oh,
like I think that is like, it still involves the sport. It's creative. It was with Red Bull, obviously, but 50 million views in 24 hours on wake skating, which is like one of the smallest action sports out there. That's like that creativity is what brought that in, you know? So I think in that route and the route that you were talking about, I think it's both of them are, it's vital.
Yeah. And I think I'll take a little even different approach where I think the most creative riders, or I guess you can see someone's true creativity when you put them in like a boring park or like a park that doesn't have a bunch of stuff. Like when I was thinking of this, like Darius Neville is one that comes to mind, one of the most creative riders, but he's at one of the craziest parks in the world. Right. So like that doesn't make it easy to get creative. Maybe a little bit easier because
I've seen
so
Darius
many
in a lot
different
of
lines.
context, and he can usually do some crazy stuff on whatever's there.
But then I like contrast it with maybe like a Matty Muncy who's just involving like the water and buttering and like doing all these weird things where it doesn't matter what park you're at. Like he's getting creative no matter what. So it's kind of like a yin and yang there. So yeah, I think those are all three kind of good points on creativity there. But yeah, creativity, very important.
Yeah, I liked what you said about Grubb for sure. Like, and it's super important in that context. Like, just, really thinking outside the box. Because, like, throwing the handle over a jersey barrier or whatever, a little construction barrier, that's, like, really creative. That's, like, wow, within the context of wakeboarding, that's really creative. Yeah. But coming to the table and being like, I'm going to jump off a building, and then, like, that's completely outside the box of what people would even classify in, like, wake sports.
Yeah.
So that's sick.
1,000%. We got another one from Ghetto Casper, Instagram question, and he's wondering, what types of music do you look for in edits?
Ghetto Casper?
Yeah.
I think I know what he's looking for, dude. Maybe some ASAP Rocky. I don't know. Like I'm keen for anything, dog. As long as it like I think a big part of it's actually like fitting the editing. But
I would agree.
like I think
100%.
it's just got a vibe. Like it can be anything. Like I use all sorts of stuff, but that's
Yeah,
just
no,
me.
I agree 100%. And you hear a lot of people talk about like the song choice fitting the rider's personality, and I think that gets tossed around, and that idea gets tossed around in circles like ours who are very involved in the core of the sport. But it's like most of the if the video gets over 2,000 views, most of the people watching the video probably have never met the rider. So I think it's way more important that it fits the style of the edit. Like I love a really fast-paced like rap song, and I also like stuff that kind of catches you off guard. Like me personally, just like really slower, like stuff with female vocalists that it's like real kind of moody and just like fits more like abstract vibe. Those are some of my favorite skate edits, and I definitely like bringing like that energy to a video. One take that I have that is kind of hot. I love classic rock. Like I listen to it on a semi-regular basis, but like, dude, from that one like Pink Floyd album, I mean, there's just been so like there's 12 songs on that album, and there's probably been 45 wakeboard edits in the last 10 years to it. Like good professional writers and editors who know what's going on. Like I like that album too, guys. Like, but let's switch it up. Let's switch it up, please.
I agree. And yeah, I mean, I'll echo like I have music I prefer, right? Like music I like to listen to, but if it's edited to the part well, it could be anything as long as it's good. Like it's, it'll vibe. So yeah, there's no specific type of music I think most of us are looking for as long as it's a good edit and it's edited well. We got one from Hayden Lusk, and he's wondering, you guys got any guesses on who are running some of these meme accounts in wakeboarding? So we've had quite a few pop off in the last like 6 to 12 months. New one is Impractical Boarding, which actually has some decent memes coming out, some good reels. There's Wakeboarding is Dead. Gnome Fucker was around. Am I missing any? I'm definitely missing a couple here, but we got any ideas on who's running it? I mean, you might not be tuned in, Dylan.
Yeah, so let me just preface with this. I have no idea who's running. I don't even know half of the stuff you just said. But I will say, I think kind of hate-based Instagram accounts are like, I'm not pro hate-based Instagram accounts at all, but I do think it's just like a natural part of being in
It's
a
in
board
every
sport.
board sport,
It's
dude.
like
It's in snowboarding, it's in skating, like
Yeah,
it's in
like,
surfing.
It's just part of it. And like I had some like real cringeworthy accounts that back in the day.
You had some
where
burners, huh?
Yeah, that I was like hating on people, and I was just like young and immature and just like throwing out hate and just venting it through this Instagram. And yeah, I think it's kind of just like a natural thing, because I look at some of those accounts and I'm just like, bro, like there's other humans on here. I remember having one account and having somebody DM it because it was like obvious that it was me. And Sam Baker, who was like, he was like a pro wakeboarder, and he DM'd me. He's like, dude, these are human beings. And I like looked up to the guy. I was like 14, and I was like, damn, I deleted the account and felt like shit for a few days. But now I feel like I'm on the other side of that. I look at some of these accounts and like obviously see who they're referencing, and I'm like, dude, they're just trying to be happy and like live their life and feel fulfilled and like go to bed happy. And you're just, dang.
Taking in,
Yeah. So my take has changed over the years from being someone who, tables have turned.
Yeah. I know the Wakeboarding is Dead one. That one, they call me out all the freaking time. So I swear, me and my brother are their whole page. So
Orlando is their page, dude.
It's like they're hating.
They should
on
just
us
call
'cause
it the
they ain't
Orlando
us.
hate page,
Yeah,
dude.
they hate us because they ain't us, dog. Like,
yeah, I have no idea who any of these people are. The Impractical Boarding one, I would say, is pretty funny though. Like it's
I haven't really.
It's like going off Impractical Jokers.
Okay.
So they posted one about La Familia, and I thought it was pretty funny. So, but yeah, no idea who any of these are, but yeah, make it funny if you're gonna do something. We got one from, I don't know how to say this guy's Instagram name. It's Icetre, Iicetre. I know who he is, but I wanted to get the Instagram handle. Anyways, he's wondering floating features versus posted features or in the ground features. What do you prefer? What do you like? Or both? I don't know.
I mean,
I like both.
if you can post features in and maintain them and your lake stays at the same level all the time, then that's cool. They don't float. They're not going to be anchored crappy. So that's got its advantages. One disadvantage is like if you really body a floating feature, like you come down on it and like your stomach or your back, it's going to hurt. But also it's able to sink
Especially
a little
the
bit.
smaller it is, the more it'll sink and move a little bit.
Yeah, and
Just
it's
forgive
kind of nice to have that. So I think as long as your stuff's dialed, like you're good to go. That's
Yeah.
how I feel. Like if it's anchored right and it's got the right angle to the cable, I'm stoked.
Yeah, I mean, if budgeting is like an issue, obviously home make your stuff, post it in. Posted is really fun. Like McCormick's or Ravens Cove like has some super posted stuff that's like
Been
it's
around
OG
for a while.
Yeah, it's OG. Like it's pretty fun, but I'm unit all day. Like you can change it, you can move it around. There's just so much to do, and with the posted stuff, it's there. Like it ain't changing, it ain't going nowhere.
It is crazy that they still have that flat bar at Ravens Cove.
Do we know how long that thing is?
Dude, it's pretty.
Like I remember
100
being
feet, maybe.
Yeah.
like 2008, 9, like watching clips of John Dickey do like
Alex Gray and John
with
Dickey,
the,
yeah.
with the crazy narrow stance, do like cab 3 to nose press on that thing way back in the day, and I'm just
Yeah.
like still seeing clips of Logan Turner like hitting the same flap. I'm like, that's crazy.
That is cool. Yeah, that
I'm
is
like,
definitely cool.
I was thinking about it the other day. I'm like, are they replacing these posts?
Yeah,
Ever?
they're kind of like I
are
think
they metal?
their idea was, they take some out, put new unit features
Okay.
in. Like they got a huge order last year, and they took out a lot of posted stuff, and I think they left the stuff that was in good condition and it's
Yeah.
been there.
That makes sense.
It's still good and to fill up the lake. So I think that's kind of their plan. I know Bly like in Australia, their plan is to like they get one shipping container of unit features every year for like the next 3 years. Year was their first year, and they're gonna slow.
That's cool.
They're gonna slow by slow like take out a posted rail, put in a new one.
Yeah.
And then I think the last year it will just be like more stuff.
Yeah.
Because their aqua park makes so much money. They're like, let's do something with the cable.
That's awesome.
Boom. Cable Park's 101 right there, baby. Let's do that. You need
Yeah.
more of that. A new container every year, unit features going to a park. That's sick, dude. We got one from Conrad McIntosh, and he's wondering why aren't there live betting booths at contests for spectators? I don't know. Would love to see that.
That
would be
seems
sick.
like your lane.
It does seem like my lane.
to
I'll
put
start- yeah.
together.
Yeah. All right, yeah.
So I mean, the fantasy is pretty sick with surfing. If there's anyone out there that's in surfing, like I've been kind of cooped up at the crib, and there's been 2 surf comps, so I made a fantasy team for them, and it's been pretty fun. So I think we could do something like that in wakeboarding.
I didn't know that was a thing, but I did see in a Nathan Florence vibe that the last pipe Masters you could bet on, and there were odds.
Ooh,
Yeah.
we like that. Yeah, I think the fantasy is like step one to it, because I guess I'll tease it right now. Like the FLYP, I think it's called Flip. They're doing a fantasy league. We're going to do like a Grab Matters fantasy league this year, and we got X amount of cable events that we're going to have, and we're going to do like a prize for
Okay.
it. So that's not really betting, but if you wanted to get a group together and put money in and you did it on your own, you could essentially
Yeah.
do that.
I think
and
that's
the winner
the route
would
to
win
start.
money.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
think it's
fantasy
pretty
football.
sick.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, kind of keep an eye out for that, because I think that'll be like kind of step one to it. You get a group of friends together, you buy in, and the winner wins it all. So, yeah, we're working on it, Conrad.
Coming soon.
Trust
Coming
me.
soon.
Trust me. We're working on it. We got one from Parks, and he's wondering. This is probably mostly for Gavin, but first off the dock or last in a contest, what would you rather do?
Oh, I love being first, dude. Set the bar. Like
Setting the
what
vibe.
what I'm gonna do isn't changing based on what's in the heat. Like especially if it's a final, dude. I'm going there to do me and show up and show out. I'm gonna go out first, no pressure. Like you set the bar and let everyone else chase it. I love doing first. Like especially in a final, I love going first, dude.
Yeah.
I like that. You were like real confident with that take.
Yeah, show up, show out, dude.
Yeah. I'll stand by it. First off, dog is lit.
Do you think most people feel that way, or you think you're unique like that?
Nah, I'd say it's probably 50-50
Yeah.
across the board. Like I know guys that will watch and like they'll change their run on the spot, but I'm going there to do like what I practice to do, and I'm gonna go do it. Like
Yeah. It doesn't matter if somebody went before you, you're still gonna do the same thing.
yeah, like no matter like I'll be last off the dock. Some dude just went and did like toe back 10. Like I'm still gonna do my run. That's just one kicker. There's 7 other rails. I'm gonna go do me. Like
Yeah.
second run comes, and maybe there's only 2 runs. Like second run comes, we could be changing things here. Like now I'm gonna go step it up, but I know I got this in the bag. Like with my first run, now I'm gonna go and like work on it.
Would you say that's your overall vibe with contests that you found works well for you? Like really just focusing on the internal battle of like, I'm going to try to like show up and show out the best I can, like within my own ability level versus like, Michael Jordan making up stories in his head that like someone in the other locker room's talking shit and they're like, he's going down.
I mean, I think it's different for everyone. Like, some people love a peaceful atmosphere, and some people love to get rowdy, and like they wanna show up like and prove a point. And I think it just depends on the person. But as like contest wise, I think it's really, really cool if I'm first off the dock and I go out there and set it, and then there's a reseeding for the second run. That's perfect world right there. I go off, set out, lay my first run down, bolts, like, don't want to change anything, and then it reseeds for the second run, and then you're either in last or second last, and you can watch. And then
Are there any contests, like weight contests, that do that?
Yeah, the IWWF stuff always reseeds in finals, but it's not like super common.
Okay.
Would you like to see that more? Sounds like you'd like to see that more.
Yeah, WWA actually did it in a couple worlds. Like, I know they did it in Worlds in London, and it was pretty cool. Like, so yeah, I like it.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like reward people for, give them some kind of tactical advantage. Like,
For throwing down
obviously,
in a heat that doesn't
people
matter.
have very conflicting opinions about how the WSL is running things, but essentially you compete all year for a spot in the top 6. And if you're coming into the end, like if you're number 1 in the entire tour, basically
You only have to win one heat.
Yep, the finals competition is like 6 surfs 5, and if 6 wins, then 6 surfs 4, and then 4, and then it keeps going like that. So, you still have to show up and like win that heat that day, but you only got to win one heat. And again, a lot of people don't vibe with that, but I think it's interesting.
It is definitely interesting. I feel like X Games forever had, or maybe they still do. They did it like differently this year, but in traditional format, they would do like the prelims, and if you did well, it would be reseeded, and it would be go reverse order basically. So the person who did the best went last for the tactical advantage, and that makes sense to me. So I don't know, something to think about. We got one from Johnny D. Thoughts on adding in fake audio in post?
I think it depends how fake it is. Like, you can, like, maybe the audio got botched because your filmer is screaming, like, because he's so hyped. Maybe you just take it, like, maybe you want that. That's good. Use it. If not, you just, like, use the one that you landed the lap before. Maybe it was, like, you missed the grab and the filmer doesn't get hyped, and it's the same trick, same audio, like, everything. Like, just switch it over and make it work. But I think if you're using, like, straight random noises and stuff, like, if it's done properly, I've seen some good ones still that like make it like a cinema, like real movie feeling. But it's up to you. Like, that's how I feel on it.
I'm gonna pretty much mirror what Gavin said here. Like, if it still feels real and authentic, that's awesome. But it's also about like what you're solving for and like what audience you're trying to reach or impress. If you are, maybe if you don't like clap a landing and like you go back out, or you import an audio that you do like really stomp the landing that like accentuates the trick, I'm all for it as a video production person, and think like it's cool just to add more production value through sound design. As a core wakeboarder, if I find out you did that in your edit, like pretty much like I'm tossing it out the window, you're toast. But as I'm also like, that's really cool. Like if you can put sound design and that ups the production value where it's relatable to more people and more people see it, then that's cool. You've just kind of lost my attention as, a core rider who, I'm like, well, I feel lied to.
I think that's kind of where my stance is. Like, if I feel lied to, like if it's not distracting, like what you said, if you landed the trick and then or landed a trick without a grab, then the one you want to put in has the grab, and the audio from the one you want to put in is fucked. Use the audio from the one that no one's going to know the difference, and it doesn't really matter. You're not being lied to, I don't think. Like, but yeah, if you're like doing all sorts of crazy shit, putting in fake sounds, to me, like, yeah, you kind of feel lied to. It's like, oh, like that wasn't, I feel like I'm watching something that didn't actually happen, and that's like a weird kind of level. But I think as long as it's not distracting to me, that's kind of like the big thing.
And I would agree. And I've actually done that, like what you mentioned. There was just like, one clip where someone gets hyped or something like that, and it makes more sense. And I do think too, like if you have a slow-mo clip of somebody just like rounding motor tower, and it's in the beginning of the video, and it's like trying to create like a moody vibe, like throwing in some like sound design of water, like, because the slow-mo audio is going to sound horrible. If it's in like 20%, it's just not going to go. But it can add and like really pull you in to the edit and just make the edit overall better. Like, I back that 100%.
Yeah, I like that. And I know like you get it because you like are a media person. You do media like as a job, right? Mm-hmm. So when I like, and I'm constantly editing all the time, and I watched this one dude said when I was trying to learn sound design, he was saying if you can close your eyes and you listen to it and you can see like what the sounds like are portraying, that's how you know it's good sound design. And if it like kind of throws you off, then it's not like authentic and not original, or it doesn't create the same like feeling. And I think sound design is pretty important in like movies and cinemas and stuff. Like it's crazy how many layers they have. You just don't really get it as much in wakeboarding.
Yeah, definitely. Sound is very important, and I think the natural sound of like the water and the rails and all that stuff is very important to have in an edit to kind of keep it well rounded. So, yeah, I have some good chat on that.
Yep, I do think I could be calling him out here, but I believe there was a video of John that came out that there were some sounds that the editor went and filmed around with a recorder in his hand and clapped some landings to, kind of up the sound. And that wasn't John's choice. That was the editor's choice.
Yeah, I can't.
But
yeah.
I do believe that happened.
I don't know about that. I know John sometimes has ridden with a mic in his pocket to get like closer sounds.
Okay.
But
see, that's right. That's kind of over the line unless you're doing that. Yeah, I don't know.
He's just a wizard sometimes. Like
that's pretty common in snowboarding to like have mic up the person. Yeah. Like you'll notice in all Gimbal God stuff, those guys got lav mics on them.
Dude, one day John like fully reassembled Gimbal God's setup where he used to use, like before he was shooting on the red camera, he used to use 2 GoPros, one for audio and one for video. And I rocked up to the cable one day and John's got a GoPro stick with 2 GoPros on it, one for audio, one for video. So
that's funny. There's a lot of cool like little techniques like that. Like Gimbal God will usually throw a GoPro on the bottom of his red to get like BTS stuff for his vlogs, and also it records the gyroscope information, so then he can put all of that information into the footage from his red camera.
Smart.
And stabilize stuff.
I remember way back some mountain bikers were using the GoPro 4 for audio and then the newer GoPro for video because the 4 has the best like
Interesting.
audio.
I've never heard that.
And you plug a mic into it too.
Yeah. Huh. So all these like weird little tricks are pretty cool about filming and stuff like that. So all right, we're diving back in. We got a Patreon question from Rich Wheeler. And I think this one's pretty interesting. He's wondering, what is the popsicle shape of cable wakeboards? Is there a standard arising from the ideal park board for most people? I think that's pretty interesting to think about because he's referring to popsicle skateboards, which is like the standard issue skateboard that people skate now. And obviously there's all sorts of different shapes. But is there one that sticks out to you guys where it's like, this is like, you're going to put somebody on a board? It's like, yeah, this is the standard issue shape. You get the size for you. And either you guys thoughts on that?
I mean, kind of. I feel like we've touched on this in the Slingshot lineup, which those are the boards I'm the most familiar with. Like the terrain, I feel like it's just an even flex pattern. There's no features on the bottom. And it, obviously is a symmetrical board. The corners and outline aren't too crazy. It's got kind of a more mellow, continuous rocker. I don't necessarily think that's the best for a beginner or anything like that, or the best even for the most people, but it's just a really kind of simple, bare bones wakeboard that works really well. So that's kind of my input.
That would be your go-to of like if you were to,
I guess. I mean, I don't even ride the terrain like necessarily all the time, but yeah, if I had to make a comparison between just like a normal popsicle skateboard for me in the Slingshot, in the context of mostly riding Slingshot, the terrain or whatever the Bearden now,
whatever the equivalent is. Yeah. What about you, Gavin? What do you think?
I mean, by popsicle, doesn't it just mean like a wakeboard would be a twin tip, right?
I agree, but like almost all wakeboards, like 99 out of 100 wakeboards are twin tips. So
right? I feel like that's like the standard answer to the question. Like obviously, I think I have like my ways where I think on boat you're gonna see a 3-stage like way more often. I think on cable it doesn't really make sense.
Yeah.
For rocker wise, I think flex is totally up to the person, and I think like the tip and tail shape is totally up to the person. I don't really like if it's rounder, it's obviously gonna make the board a little slower, but like it's not going to change that much, and then I like the outline, which sidewall to sidewall, I think it's totally up to how like straight it is, which is like how hard it will cut, and the channels, like I think it's totally up to a person, which you like in skateboarding, there's more options to change, you have like some boards are different wheelbases, like you have different trucks that put on that change the feeling like a ton. And I think it's just like pretty standard in wakeboarding because your terrain, like the water isn't changing. Like it's not like you gotta, like in surfing, like you gotta take a different board out for different size waves, different conditions, where in wakeboarding the water's not changing, Like the plastic's going to be there, so it's pretty standard. What's under your feet is what's going to be the most comfortable for you in these situations.
I would agree. And even within the context of like a standard issue popsicle skateboard, a skateboard can look like a popsicle and have a completely different nose than tail. And it just, you wouldn't really be able to tell unless you really got up and took a good look at it. Like there's lots of pro skaters that are very particular about the board they ride and they will feel a big difference. And it looks like a normal popsicle, but it is not that. You know, the nose is a certain height and they like doing that for whatever certain kind of tricks or switch tricks or fakey stuff. You know, there's even more nuance within just like the popsicle shape.
Yeah, definitely. And I would say, I mean, the equivalent to me would be a continuous rocker board that's symmetrical. And like that is kind of your starting point. And then after that, you kind of go if you want channels on the bottom, what kind of flex you want, what the tip and tail shape are going to be like. But that's kind of like your baseline starting point of what a cable board is going to be.
Gavin, you seem to have more knowledge and information. I think some of this stuff would make sense, but why don't you just break down like really simply, and you almost basically did it, but like maybe just like curvature of a sidewall or of like the side cut, tip and tail shape, and then also rocker and how those affect how the board rides.
Yeah. So this is huge, and I think a lot of people overlook it. And it's like, you know, it's what feels good, but it's also like what you're looking for. Which like in skateboarding, you have half pipes and you have like Nyjah who rides street. There's a clip of Nyjah trying to do a kickflip on Tony Hawk's board. It takes him like 5 tries just because he's so dialed on his own setup. And that's kind of how it is here. Like, so, you know, I might be dialed on what I like, but someone else might be dialed on what they like. And it's completely different. So like on the rocker, starting on the bottom, the more rocker you have, the slower the board's going to be. Generally, the flatter it is, the faster it's going to skim across the water. But, you know, you don't want to go too flat. It's going to feel like kiteboard. Your nose is going to be shoveling. You have all this stuff. Flex is completely personal. Like, I don't like something too soft because I enjoy hitting kickers. It's going to make landing softer. It's going to make, you know, put more impact on my body. But if you're only hitting rails, you know, you can have fun pressing it, you know, and doing that kind of stuff. Channels is like fully up to you. It's going to give you more grip edge to edge on the water, which a board without channels is going to slide a little bit more. Like here on the butter stick, you can see there's tip channels, but it's completely flat in the middle. However, the size of the sidewall on this board is so much smaller, it's going to give you more grip and kind of act like a channel, which a bigger sidewall is not going to dig in as easy. Then you have chimed rails, which is like kind of like a preference as well. It just doesn't let you catch, but it's also not going to dig as hard because the board is turned up. And then like that's pretty much it. And then like I think what you're missing here is water flow, and the water flow affects everything, and that's just the outline of the board. So typically the straighter it is, the less the water flow will be impacted. And the more curved it is, the more the water flow will be impacted, causing it to grip the water differently or slow it down, speed it up, you know.
Okay, cool.
Damn.
So how would a board that was a complete rectangle and didn't have any, you know, like outline curvature, how would that ride?
So it's going to be like, obviously the rocker would affect it too. Let's say it's pretty flat, pretty rectangular. It's going to be super fast and super quick edge to edge because it's super straight, but you know, you might not get the same grip, or maybe your tail is super wide at the end, so you have more surface area. It's going to feel like a bigger board, going to give you a lot of stability on rails, but it's going to slide out because you don't have as much control because there's so much out there.
Yeah, and while it's quicker edge to edge, you're not going to be able to like change direction as quickly because that's super exaggerated. Like if you've ever ridden a light wind kiteboard, that's what those are. Like they're just literally rectangles that are super wide, and they go straight very well and, you know, fast, but actually like, you know, cutting or creating like a change in direction is really difficult on a shape like that.
No carves, like carvature, like S carves, C carves, like going around a corner. That stuff, a pulled in tip and tail, 100% is going to be like the answer for that. What I mean by edge to edge is just toe side to heel side.
Yep.
Interesting.
Cool.
Damn. You got any more questions on that, Dill? Because I feel like you were kind of picking his brain, and it was good. It was good insight, but I'm not a huge gearhead, so I don't have a ton to ask.
Well, pull back up the butter stick real quick. We're talking about like tip and tail shape now, and the butter stick has a relatively unique thing that it's not the edge isn't completely flat, right? It goes to a point, almost like a little triangle. What is your take on what kind of effect that has on the board versus if the butter stick was the same shape but had kind of more of a
Flattened off.
Yeah, I got you. So I think where I notice it the most is when I go to put my board up against the wall. It will have like, it won't fall over. It will just be this slight lean, and I have like this gnarly OCD. I'm like trying to put my board back up. But I don't, to be honest, I think that's so minimal, it doesn't affect it that much.
cool. Yeah, I mean, I don't have too much more than that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was interesting.
That was just my wake nerd in me getting out.
I mean, I guess it would be interesting, and you'd probably have more context on this. You mentioned that you rode the Utopia, which is Trent's board.
Yeah.
And Papa Stuckey was letting you know, like, if you lean on your back foot as you're approaching the kicker, you're going to speed up significantly. And you saw that that was the case,
Yeah,
right?
I think that's what he was saying. Maybe he was trying to boil it down for me, but that's kind of what I felt basically. It was like I was almost like leaning back, and the board it felt like it was accelerating into the kicker.
So the Utopia and the Kinetic have like one of the most unique rocker lines on the whole, like in all of wakeboarding. It's essentially, it's got a continuous rocker between the boots, and once you hit the boots, it's just flat.
Yeah.
It's like, I call it a reverse 3-stage because it's flat here and round there, where a 3-stage would be flat between the boots and then rounded up on the tips. So because it's flat makes you go faster, and if you weight, like depending on how you weight the board is a big difference in how it rides. So that board specifically, if you weight it more on the flat spot, it's going to skim across the water and it's going to be a lot faster. But if you put weight on the front foot, it's like you're hitting the brakes because you're hitting the opposite.
That makes sense. And so,
I felt that for sure.
Yeah, and so when you put weight on the back foot, like Gavin was saying, you're more rocking to a flatter part of the board. There's more surface area of the board, like actually touching the water, which allows you to, with the same amount of pull, glide more effortlessly through the water and accelerate.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite things about riding the Kinetic or the Utopia. It was that speed that it had.
Yeah.
Nice. What are you ever like talking with board designers at Liquid Force, or these conversations you're part of? Like,
I'm always talking, dude.
Okay.
He's always yapping.
I'm
dude.
talking to everyone I can, expanding my knowledge. Like, dude, if I ever got to the point where maybe I'm 26, 27 years old, pro careers in and out, that would be like my number one dream job, is to go to be like a wakeboard shaper.
Okay.
It would be so sick.
nice.
Interesting.
So I'm always getting an earful, a mouthful, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like,
What's your surfboard quiver look like?
me? Okay, so I've got 2 Lost boards, a Rad Ripper and a Sub Driver, and then I've got a Slater Design Sci-Fi because we live in Florida where it's super punchy sometimes, and it like gives you the speed it needs. So that's what I got.
Yeah, that's cool. For anybody who's not into surfing or surf culture, those guys absolutely like nerd out and froth out. The majority of surfers and shapers get really, really into like little nuanced designs, and having, like Gavin was saying earlier, the conditions are constantly changing. So having the right board for the right conditions. And if it's something you're really into, you could have 6 boards that look exactly the same to the layman, and the dude who's surfing every day, like hitting, big airs, is going to notice a huge difference in all of those little things. That's just something that's not as prevalent in wakeboarding. Obviously, you have people like Gavin and Trent and plenty of others who really understand what's going on with the board. And the majority of people are like me and Hunter, who it's like, as long as it's kind of flexy and like the size that I pretty much want, that's fine.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But I mean,
within cable anyway.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it is cool I've been like slowly like kind of diving in and asking questions about that, because it is like interesting to learn about, because water is such like a movable object. It's not like snow or concrete where it's like pretty hard and sturdy. Like water, there's a lot of movement going on. So there's a lot of movement underneath the board, which is, it's just interesting to learn about. And there's a lot of ins and outs of it that I feel like don't get talked about all that often in terms of like board tech and stuff, which is, it's cool to learn.
Why would you say the 3-stage makes more sense behind the boat? Just because of the pop off the wake?
Yeah, I'd say on boat, like 90% of people's pro model boards is going to go to the rocker and the fins. And, like a shape doesn't affect too much. Like it will affect how you edge in the wake, but most riders have been riding boat for 20 years at that point when they get a pro model. So they understand that. Their main thing is finding a fin shape and the rocker. So to see a lot of the guys ride 3-stage to get the pop off the wake, where continuous is meant to be like more consistent pop, just not as much. But if you are riding a 3-stage for years and you learn it to ride it how it's meant to be ridden, then you're going to be a 3-stage guy for a long time, I think.
Yeah. What boat board do you ride? Or are you trying out a bunch of stuff?
Yeah, I've ridden a ton. I'm on the Prime right now. which is Finn Bullock's board. It's kind of like a hybrid. It's kind of like a very advanced version of the RDX, which is their entry line. So it's their Aero core. It's super light. It's like 6 pounds. It's pretty standard.
Is that continuous? Did you say?
It's like a hybrid.
Okay.
But a lot of boards that you'll see nowadays, like it will say hybrid, but you can take one look at it, like put it on the floor or something, and you can see right away.
I mean, that looks like a 3-stage to me, just on the floor the way it's, it's got a flat spot and then it goes up.
Yeah. So it's also hard to see, like hard to read about a board online because you can't trust like what they say. Like they'll call it whatever. And like that's on numerous like board companies.
I think they all pretty much.
It has 3.1 centimeters of rocker, and then you put it next to a board that says 2.9. It's the same.
It is cool when you're making, like the first wakeboard that, the first wakeboard I bought that I was hyped on. I was like 13, and we went to Overton's, which was like a marine parts store near us, and someone who kind of knew like what wakeboarding was, like, so he could have been more knowledgeable, but like kind of schooled me up. And it's cool being down here in Florida, and there's like actually shops where you can go in and meet people who are, into it and can kind of tell you all that stuff of like, this is what's being said, but this is how I notice it makes a difference. And it's cool. Yeah. Like Gavin said, you don't necessarily pick up all that stuff by just reading a description.
No, it's tough just to digest the words. Have you ridden Gunther's new board, the Ethos? I just pulled it up, so I was curious. Yeah. Yeah, it looks cool.
He makes it look really fun.
The one he posted the other day looks so fun.
So Gunther's got removable fins in his board, right? Just looking at it?
Yeah.
Okay, how do you feel about that, removable fins versus molded fins?
Okay, so I kind of like the concept of removable fins because you can completely change the way the board feels.
Okay.
But most of the ones in the LF line are molded. And it kind of changed my perspective when I saw this article about surfboard fins that were glassed in or that were like put in, and the amount of drag the glassed ones has was like extremely less.
Interesting.
So it goes the same here because there's screws and stuff. Yeah. So that I don't know. I'm kind of 50-50. Like if it works, it works. If not, like you can't change it though.
Yeah, and the other thing too, like the fins it's like all supposed to be ridden a certain way. And so if you change the fins, maybe there's other aspects of the board that thrive in one setting that like aren't going to hit in another, just by changing the fins.
Yeah, 100%.
And obviously we're talking about kind of high level riding here, but like for a beginner, you get a board with a removable center fin, like that's a very awesome thing to have, like to be able to loosen it up. So
I remember being young, dude, and taking the thumb screws out of my CWB Surge to take out my middle fin, like the fatty middle fin.
Yeah.
And was able to do surface 180s for the first time. And I was like, this is so sick.
Unlocked.
I got so hyped on wakeboarding. And they still had 2 big molded fins in the corners.
Yeah.
New trick high.
Dude, that center. Yeah, new trick high for sure. That center fin, though, that thing's a drag, dude. I had a similar board when I was a kid, and it just had a massive unit down the center on both sides. We got a Patreon, or not a Patreon, an Instagram question from Simon Patai. And not really a question. He just says, gray unit plastic is sticky. Thoughts?
My thoughts, I just wrote OWC.
Yeah, because we just wrote OWC.
Yeah,
you kind of had some thoughts. Could be my board.
I felt like the gray stuff, like the round pipe, I felt like it was sticky. I also felt like the corners of flat stuff, so like the rooftop they have there, I felt like the corners were slow. However, I rode another board the next day, and it was essentially negligible.
Yeah.
But on a board that was already really slow and didn't have a great base, it was super duper noticeable just how slow and sticky it was. But I've never noticed it with like all gray rails. Like the thing they have at Action Slide's fine.
Yeah.
So
I think it gets warmer in the sun, so it can slow it down that way.
The black down, flat down,
like
specifically slow.
Like black or gray, it gets
hot.
a lot warmer in the heat. So than like a white rail would. So I think in that sense it does make sense. But I think other than that, don't really notice it. I think people who ride with wax on their board make it worse than the.
Okay, let's hear that take. So you think wax slows the rails down as it builds up?
Well, it's not going into the board; it's on the board, and it's just going to get wiped off on something else.
Yeah,
my take has changed significantly over the years on this. I would agree. Like, I'd rather, if I had the choice to ride a rail that's never had wax touch it, I'd rather. However, if the feature's already slow, like to the point where I'm having a horrible time riding and there's a bar of wax there, I'm just selfishly going to want to go faster for my one session right then. But I do think it probably negatively impacts the feature long term.
Yeah.
What do you think about, so at OW, I noticed like every time I put my board down on the start dock, there's usually like mud and sand, and that start dock is like, doesn't slide at all. And I feel like it's just tearing up my base. And also like, that's putting scratches in my base, which makes when I go hit the feature more likely to put like micro scratches in the feature because my base is scratched.
Yeah, I think this is like one of the bad parts about the new renovation OW did with all the sand is it gets on the dock and it definitely grinds down the slider base on boards, like because sand is like essentially it's a component of concrete, like it's gonna grind it down, and that's what wax is for, is like when it grinds the slider base, you wax your board, the wax will fill the holes, right? But like 80% of the wax you put on is not filling the holes because they've already been filled, and it just gets wiped off somewhere else. Yeah. But one manufacturer makes all of the slider base for wakeboards, so there isn't anything you can do to change that. It's just try and clean the docks.
Well, I feel like OW, or just put a little sprinkler on there, so it's just constantly
maybe jumpstart, or even just recommending jumpstart, because like I felt, I don't know, kind of weird. Like when I rock up to a new cable, I
always do a standard slide start.
Yeah, me too. But I did that with your board and like felt bad. I felt like I was ruining your board, dude. It was the loudest noise ever doing it. I'm like, I'm not doing that again. Like, no way. And two, like, as someone who kind of knows what's good and like could definitely jump start at any cable or do a nose press start, I don't really want to get smoked because the tension's mad weird either. But if you just tell me like we have 2 cables, this one you nose press start at, or you sit in the water with your board in the water, I'd be like, okay.
Yeah, that's a solid point.
Because my theory with the features, like it for sure scratches the boards, but if every single board that's riding the features has a bunch of little scratches on it, I think it's gonna like wear down the features a little bit faster than like nice new bases being
definitely
sliding on them.
Smooth on smooth is definitely gonna last longer than rough on smooth. It's just gonna turn that smooth into rough too. So well, I assume at least. So yeah, good question there, Simon. I mean, I think it's interesting. Different climates also affect the speed of rails for sure. Like, I think when it's warmer out in Florida, to me, the rails feel slower than when it's like cold in Michigan. The plastic feels harder and faster. So it could be a mental thing, but I think I feel that.
Yeah, I have a couple things to bring up. My home park is elevated, and we have a black round rail that is down, and that thing slides great all the time as long as it's wet. Like, even if it's super hot, like it doesn't. You'll notice like black streaks on your board, but other than that, like it slides great. One thing though, we have unit features that are pretty old, like they were bought by Hexagon back in the day, and the rooftop and the flat bar, midday when the sun is like 90 degrees, so like not straight on with them, but they're like perpendicular to the sun, the features bend towards the sun like really significantly. Like you'll notice it in the flat bar and the rooftop. Have you guys ever seen another park where that happens?
Oh yeah, I think so I've seen it on walls where the wall will bubble, and it's because unit features or all like shape, any kind of feature like that is gonna have air pockets in it, and when the climate changes, these like the hot air is gonna expand where the cold air wouldn't. So you'll see it in an aqua park. If you go to the cable super early in the morning, an aqua park will be less deflated than it is in the midday. And you'll see that. So like sometimes in these shipping containers, it's going to get super hot, like when the feature's getting transported. So there's a chance it could open up. But from what I know, like I've talked about this with the unit guys, and they're like doing everything they can to like prevent that stuff. They have new like airways for stuff to flow through, and they'll drill like holes after the fact and get those bubbles like worked out.
Mm-hmm. To be fair, that does make sense. These features that I'm talking about are like 15 years old, at least 10 years old at this point, and it's not like they're not rideable.
I was literally going to say that you still ride them.
Yeah, it's not like there's floating. But the flat bar turns into like almost a C rail.
To me, that's a bonus.
Like midday.
That's sick.
I agree. I mean, it is what it is. And I was really tripping on it because for a long time, I didn't realize it was the sun that it was doing it. And I thought the feature was just weakening and only bending one way. But then we put the flat bar in a different spot, and it like bent the opposite way because of the relative to the sun, like around sunset. I was like, oh, interesting.
That is interesting. Huh. Well,
customizable flat bars.
Yeah,
it's constantly changing, dude. That's a selling point, dude. Market that thing.
Real quick, while we're in the weeds on this one, how do you guys feel about features like the older flat bars, like the one at the beginner cable at OW that goes straight down and then it has counterweights on it, versus what they're leaning towards now, like more of the Jersey barrier style features?
I know where you stand, but I'm curious where Gavin stands.
What do you mean? Like having an angle on the side?
Yeah, like
making the base wider. Rather than
having an angle on the side, like Westrock's step up or step down.
Oh,
bar,
so it's more stable.
It's like skirt, and
that like this.
Yep.
Okay.
And that one doesn't have to have any counterweights because the base is more stable.
Yeah.
I don't think it matters.
Okay. I like the Slappy considerably more because as someone who moves features a lot, Elevated and West Rock are kind of shallow, and the freaking counterweights get caught on stuff all the time, and you just have to like gas the jet ski and break a bunch of ropes and feel like you're ruining this $40,000 feature. And the counterweights can become crooked sometimes, and the Slappy walls, like you can Slappy down them.
It's another feature.
I do think John told me that unit's like on the same page as me.
Yeah.
They think those are superior.
I think
I would say they are for sure.
the less technical something is, the better in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, definitely counterweights are. It's just more going on underneath the feature, like you said. You drag it across the ground
and dude, if you've ever like kicked your toe into one trying to anchor it,
that's where I was going.
Oh my god, is it horrible?
Yeah, the zero at Action has a counterweight, and I've kicked my foot into it.
Yep.
So, all right, I think we move on from features and we dive into fusion, and let's check out some winch hits because Dylan's done a lot of winching in his day, and Gavin, certified not winch rider according to himself. I would, beg to differ, but we'll go through these clips and, we'll see.
It's like, bro, who's a winch rider if you're not Gavin?
Yeah, if you're not a winch rider, dude, I don't know who is. So we'll
How are we going to do this? We're going to watch the whole part or pause?
I guess it's kind of up to you guys. I mean, have you seen it, Dylan? I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you bringing up, like, is River's question leading into this?
This is
How's
River's question. Yeah, she wanted to hear about the winching in this.
Okay.
So, are all the winching tricks back to back, or is it kind of scattered throughout? It is. Let's just do that then. We'll pull up the winching tricks.
That's the first clip.
I asked you during the live, but yeah, those kangaroo shots are fire. You took those, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah.
All right, so clip one. Has Jake Flynn hit this?
Mm-hmm.
Cab 3 into it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Quite a few people have hit that. I believe Dylan Miller's also got a clip there. Some wake skaters have.
Did
like,
Daniel
volleyed
Grant
down
hit this?
it.
I feel like he did. Could be wrong.
I'm curious on this clip. Did you go into it thinking you were going to grab melon while you did the tap, or it just was kind of there and felt natural?
No, I went in, was like, oh, I'm definitely going to bring two kickers, hit it as a line.
Yep.
I had no trick planned.
Okay.
For the
Look
first
at that
one.
mob face too.
Yeah, that's a full
Solid
mob
one.
face. Great grab there, getting full contact.
So
Like
you just rocked up and were like, this makes sense.
Yeah, like, I wanted to do either, like, front three or back three off the wall or into the wall. I wasn't really sure. That was, like, kind of the idea, but the first drop actually was a lot bigger than I was expecting. Like, it was like 12 feet or something like that. We measured it, and I couldn't go too fast with the other kicker being there. So
Yeah, there's not a lot of room from where you land in that second kicker.
yeah, so there's one I like fell and I I missed the tap and kind of just like was like going off track, kind of like threw the rope and I like washed up onto the kicker like on my butt.
We need the raw files from this. All right, next clip. We got it's back clip Pretz.
Yeah.
Back nose Pretz, yeah.
Am I explaining it?
I mean, yeah, anything unique here? Anything?
It was the same day as Red Bull Fluke Tag in Tampa where they like launch the planes off the deck and see how far you can go.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? So we like, John was like, yeah, I'm going here if you want to like come, or maybe we can scope some spots. And I was like, why don't we just hit a spot? And this is like 20 minutes from the site. So we went there first and set it up, and some lady was like walking her dog. I was like, total bust. Like, she's walking straight at us. She goes, oh, you're going to wakeboard? No way.
Oh, sick.
And I was like, yeah. And she was like, oh, I ride at Ski Rixon sometimes. And then
She rode.
Yeah, it was pretty chill. And then it just like got, there for a couple hours, got a clip, and then went and got some fluke tag.
There you go.
That's cool. Something I've learned through winching is like, you can just never call what the kick out. You just can't go into a spot with expectations, kick out or not, because sometimes you'll be at just the most public spot ever where mad people are going by, and you're just there for 6 hours. Like a cop will roll by and roll his window down and then just keep driving. And then sometimes you'll hike a mile back into the woods just to have like some croggy old guy be like, what do you think this is okay to be here? And it's like, how do you even get back here, dude?
This is a great little B-roll product placement. You're smart right there.
Filmed it in the backyard.
Kids got it.
No, you didn't. Did you really?
Yeah, I guess.
Attaboy.
I guess fake sounds or fake B-roll clips.
That's not.
What do you want?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that's fake.
No, that's perfect. Were you using that handle right here, though?
Yeah.
Okay. One thing
It matches, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. One thing I would like to know, when you're coming off of this feature here, you're obviously like you don't have any line tension. It's slack, right? And you can tell in the way you do the 270, it kind of makes it steezier. Like you were talking earlier, it kind of like looks more difficult because you know you're really having to
look where the handle is.
Use your body. I guess just comparing winch to cable, I feel like if you were to do a trick like a backflip pretzel that's not crazy technical, you can have consistent tension the whole way. And on the winch, like you just can't. Right?
Yeah.
At certain spots. How much of a difference does that make?
Okay, so this specifically, the rail slid super fast. So I ended up, once I got on the rail, I was sliding faster than the winch was pulling, and I just had no tension. Like, you can see how much slack's in the rope. I think, like, the goal here was to not get the most technical clip because I didn't have great tension, but to slide the rail, like, a decent amount. So I checked another box of, like, being a clip. And we didn't really have a whole lot of time, like, just trying to go, like, a couple hours and then go enjoy the rest of the day. So
how many tries are we talking here?
Here?
Yeah.
I have no idea. Like
over under 10.
Yeah,
I would say around 10 pulls total.
Okay.
Like
nice. Are you backlipping this thing first go?
No.
Hit the kicker once.
Yeah, because this wasn't my kicker. So I don't really like this kicker. It's sticky, and then
is it gray on top?
It is gray on top.
There you go, Simon.
And then the rail slid like super fast, so it was like wonky.
Go from slow to fast. One thing I will say, you're using a rewinch here, right?
Yeah.
So rewinches are programmed to the speed correlates to an RPM, and I think they have some. So the speed correlates to an RPM. A moto winch, the speed correlates to a voltage that's getting put into at least the prototype that we used all the time. So when you get on something that's really fast, like a spillway or a handrail with the moto winch, it speeds up because it's the same amount of voltage but less resistance. So you still have a little bit of tension. And both have advantages and disadvantages. But going down spillways or getting on really fast sliding metal, I've noticed the moto winch is nice for that. But being able to two-man winch crew a spot with the removable remote is like outweighs.
Yeah. So you're saying maybe on moto winch handle might be kind of over here.
So my example was jumping down a spillway with a moto winch and a rewinch. The moto winch, it had tension the whole way down the spillway, and the rewinch, like pretty much right when you got cooking down the spillway, it was slack all the way to the bottom.
The rope. Yeah. Okay. All right, we'll move on to the next clip. That was backflip pretzel. You push off that wall.
Yeah.
Beautifully. Like,
So I'd like to know, this is a spot that a lot of people have hit. They've wall rid. Like I think Brenton Priestley put like a corrugated back there back in the day. Yeah. So what was the thought process here? You're like, I want to do this trick and I need a wall and I know this wall is in Orlando, or you're like, I want to hit this spot differently than anyone's ever hit it?
Well, there's a picture of Brenton Priestley at ODub like hitting this wall, and me being an ODub Grom, I always saw it. And it's like, it's ODub class, or it's Orlando Classic spot. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, it was actually the first clip we filmed for the whole video. And I was like, I think, like, I had this wall forever. Like, everyone knows that. I was like, like, water's high from the hurricane. I want to do a back bump. So I went there and I did a back bump. Like, it kind of just worked out. But like the water is super low because like it just came up from the hurricane, but it's only like shin deep where the kicker is. Mm-hmm. So me pushing off is trying to get in deeper water, like further away from the wall, the deeper it's gonna be. So I'm pushing off. Like, not only Trent was like, well, when you watch someone run up a wall and do a backflip, they don't just step on it once. They stay on it and then do a backflip. Yeah. So he was like, try that, and I was like, to be honest, I don't know if it worked or not. And he's like, well, it looked better. And I was like, well, I'm also not landing in shin deep water. I'm landing in knee deep water. So that's better.
What were the tries looking like here? And how many, did you do a lot of just straight backflips, or were you going for the mob right away?
Well, it was my first time ever flipping off a wall.
Okay.
Like, in like my whole life. So it was a 2-day mish because we went in the afternoon and it took me like a little bit longer to set up. And then it got dark. And I got like really close where I landed on the board on the mob and then fell. I think I went half cab like second or third pole.
Nice.
And then I just left the kicker there. I came back in the morning and like fresh
right away,
fresh bones, like good breakfast, came back and got it right away.
That's such a good feeling to know the spot's set up and you're just going to rock up and get just
You
handle
don't got to put any
business.
energy into doing anything else. Yeah. This is a great shot, by the way. Just the moving across the screen on the wall.
Did you set up that tripod?
No, dude, my friend called me and he was like, "Yo, like, get on, like, play some games. What are you doing?" Like, cause it's a hurricane. We're not doing anything. And I was like, "Dude, I'm actually right next to your house." And he's a filmer, and he just came and like filmed the one spot, and it's so good. He had the idea, and it just worked so good.
To have a static angle if
Yeah,
you just
blowing
hold
space.
white.
Yeah.
That's cool. Who give him a plug?
Oh, Garrett Coleman.
Sick.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
All right, this
W
is-
is air horn Garrett, dude.
This is fucked. This is just
It's probably my favorite winch clip at the park.
pause there. This one is the back two.
Yeah.
You didn't come on the inside at all on this one, I'm assuming. These potter
No.
plants are intact.
Well, there's some strategic going on. There's plants like along the whole thing, and I'm not trying to die, so I moved like the tables and the plants out of the way. So if I
Yep.
did like fall to the inside, I just got to worry about the closeout, not the tables.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But this like building is a fortress. I went there 3 different times just to be able to ride this one time. Like, it's like huge.
You would just put the kicker in the water. They'd be
No,
like, nah.
not even like not even get to that point. Like, it's a insurance building, and I just
Okay.
like went there, and there's people there, and I knew like it just wasn't gonna work, and it's like kind of deep, so I drove like pretty far, and then I was like, all right, we're gonna have to hit this Sunday at 5 p.m. It's the week before the time change, so it's like our only Sunday like at 5 p.m. that it's gonna work, or else we're just gonna have to roll the dice coming with people here every time, and we got there 5 p.m. Or I went out early, made sure there was no one there before the rest of the squad came.
Attaboy.
Set the kicker up, and then all I had to do was hand my camera to someone, and then John had the winch set up on the far side, and
Did you set the kicker solo?
I did. I trailered it out there like solo. It's like an hour drive, and then I realized no one was there, and was like, all right, let's get to it. So I had it set up, and then when the rest of the crew got there, it was just like, just go time.
Dude, that's a good feeling when you're and that's cool. That just shows your level of commitment and motivation of like, I'm making this happen. Like, if you could drive yourself, like, cool. And it's like, obviously, and you have the support system and like homies who are down, but it's like, you're making it happen either way. Like, if you got 2 cameras, if you have your A7S3 and John's on a tripod and he's driving, like, you're making that happen.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
sick.
for sure. Like, I've hit spots where it's just me and like the driver, like,
Yeah.
before, but it was just like I had to put the hours in. I felt bad like the last time they drove out, and it just like kicked, and we just did nothing. Then we drove out, and then we went to the I-4 spot. Like, so there was like, like I felt bad, and I was like, I'm gonna do it. Like, this is how it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Yep.
Make it happen.
But that was the trick in mind the whole time. I was like, I'm gonna
Okay.
tow back
Toe
to
back
this
to
closeout.
yeah.
Were you thinking same way out?
I was just like, I'm gonna tow back to this closeout.
See what
Whichever
happens.
way, whichever way I'm like, it's flowing. It's flowing.
Yeah.
I think same way is fucking sick.
I like the handle pass too.
Yeah.
Would you have handle passed that on a cable?
It's just
It's just whatever you're feeling.
Yeah, it was just whatever.
Okay.
I didn't think about that.
I think it's really interesting to watch your head and how fast it whips around.
To
Check
spot.
out
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
you gotta get the faster you get the spot, you're gonna know how to adjust your weight on the
That was
rail.
my first time ever hand passing the winch too.
It's sketch.
Yeah, it's
It-
like it was weird.
Backside, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, cop came at this one.
What did that interaction was that like?
Well, Trent's like, I think Trent's kind of scared when the cops come, so he's like super chill, and I was like, oh, I'll come over there, and then the guy like waves me off because I start walking over there, and he tells Trent, he goes, yeah, we got a call. Like, like, there's no swimming signs, like there's no signs or anything, so I'm just gonna check this handrail. He like puts his hand on it, and then films me go on one, and then just leaves.
Sick. Love that.
It is cool being in Orlando. Like, obviously, not every cop's gonna be chill, and there's gonna be circumstances where to do their job they have to ask you to leave. But I've been kicked out of spots in Orlando where they're like, "Oh, I bet I like said my name was Dylan." And they're like, "Dylan Miller." I'm like, no, close.
Know that
guy. He's like, I kicked him out of this spot a few years ago. But it's interesting and funny.
Yeah, definitely.
It's kind of like a preppy part of Orlando, so I was like pretty nervous. Like I got into some trouble with a different spot where we ended up like not even getting off and kind of getting trespassed, and it was like near here, so I was like kind of worried when the guy showed up, but
It's like
They
a perfect
worked
spot.
out.
I mean, perfect little rail there.
Yeah. I don't
Nice
think anyone's
water.
hit it either.
You did that like really well. That
Yeah.
was
That
sick.
was
It looked really
that was
good.
backup plan, to be
Okay.
honest.
Oh,
What
are you gonna
was-
let us know what you're trying? Or
Yeah, I was trying to rewind it.
Okay. Dude, I mean, you can see in the clip, like when you land, so much slack.
yeah,
Yeah.
like a
That
whole
would
loop
have
of
been
slack.
really, like, you would have basically had to be able to rewind without tension. Which
Yeah,
is
I
a
was
whole
close.
different thing.
I was
Were you?
close. Yeah,
Okay.
but maybe
How-
I'll redemption it someday.
Okay.
That'd be
Did
sick.
you get, I assume you got that before trying the rewinds?
No, rookie
Okay.
mistake. Rewinded, battled it for like freaking 2.5 hours or something. Like we're charging batteries on the hood of the car, like because I'm blowing it so hard. But obviously, like looking at the clip now, it's like, oh, that was
slack's
asking for the
crazy,
impossible, dude.
Yeah, the slack on this
It's
freeze frame is
crazy.
wild.
So then
Yeah.
it took me like five tries to go do this.
you were getting the rewind around, then probably just falling toward your heels.
Yeah, I was just back edging like
Yeah.
every time because I couldn't get the last little bit.
What is teaching Trent? Because I mean, I'm sure you guys both film each other a fair bit, but like you're for sure the more media guy. You like running Trent like through. This is how I want you to film this fisheye.
Yeah, a lot of the time it's like I'll have a vision because when you start making your own stuff, you'll get a vision for things, and at one point that's good, but at another point it like kind of ruins things sometimes. 'Cause you're like, dang it, I wanted it this way.
Yeah.
But Trent's like really good about it, and he'll like be like, oh, I think it's like good from this angle. And now that he started like filming me and stuff with my rig, he's like, when I film him, he's like, yo, what do you think about this angle? And he's like putting input in it as well, and it's like it's good because it will work both ways. If I need help, he's like down because I film him, you know.
Yeah.
So
That's
What a
cool.
blessing in disguise that the sun is looking great and the sky looks like it's just about
Dude,
to
yeah,
set,
he's
so
he's
it's
backlit.
a beautiful
He's killing
shot
it.
right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. On to the next one. The great product placement here too, by the way. Getting the booties. Was that in the backyard too?
hell yeah, dude, gotta plug LF, dude.
This is crazy.
That's crazy.
Dude. This is crazy.
That's definitely
Ugh.
that is a good trick for that ledge because you're regular, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, like have 3 on and the way you did it, you know, landing in like 270 and then like just skirting around, like you can really like stay locked in but lean your weight. That was a great trick for that spot.
What I did
feel like it
notice
just
was
made a lot of
this
sense.
right here.
You
I didn't
didn't
really
notice
notice that the first couple of
Yeah.
watches, dude.
The
I was
wrong
watching
way?
your feet. No, this is where that like if he gets locked in.
But there's a
and-
wrong way on it. Cause see the last one, but I
Yeah,
know what
yeah.
you're talking about.
I'm just saying, if he rides this all the way,
Yeah.
it comes off at a weird point. Yeah.
Yeah, the sign is there. Every time you walk the handle, you gotta like pass it around, so it makes
Oh
you,
yeah, that's annoying.
it makes you think like, oh, I'm not running into this. You know? Like,
That
What
the
was
last
it
one,
like
yeah.
sliding through, like in your IG video, you know, coming over on the highway side and sliding through? Were there ever zones like, were you timing traffic or could you have just gotten smoked by a car?
yeah. I had like the guy filming up top, Cooper, was like definitely kind of spotting it. Like he like sometimes they wait.
Well, you're going
and-
the same way as the cars too, so that would help if you did make a
Yes.
collision.
Yeah, for
I'm
sure.
just imagining though, dude, you just like exit the highway and just like Gavin Stuckey
Just
comes
sliding across
flying
the
by
country.
in a helmet.
It's so funny because every time I walk the rope up, I got to walk all the way up the exit ramp backwards. And I get to the top, throw my board off, throw the rope down, and then I'll kind of just like wait for a car to come. And then as soon as a car comes the exit ramp, I'll make eye contact and just jump off the bridge. Like, and I did it so many times, dude. Like, it was just so funny. But
That
This
thing
is-
looks buttery though. Look at that.
Yeah,
concrete,
good
dude.
wax
It looks
job.
great.
What's
Shout out
your
Cooper.
technique here? You hitting rub brick then wax, or you just wax the puppy up?
that's just wax. That's full candle. Like,
Looks like a
that-
lot of it, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like the crease in between Jersey Bears was what I was like most kind of
Yeah, this guy right
sketched
here.
about.
Yeah.
Just filled it up with wax as much as possible.
Yeah, shout
Yeah.
out Coop. He was waxing that thing. And then,
Oh yeah, there he is right there.
yeah, and then I had him wet the kicker because it was like getting sticky. But, oh, and then I pulleyed through the sign at the end because, to like, just like 5 feet, but like every foot counts.
Every foot
So-
counts for sure, dude. Yeah.
Oh, like height wise?
Height-wise.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
like it's
yeah.
really not that much higher than the ground, but
Everything makes a big difference.
But
Like,
looking at-
any little bit you can get that still makes sense with the setup. You
That's
take.
up there, dude. That
yeah,
is up there.
yeah. It's we measured it. It was above 10 feet.
So you seem to be able to really get like a lot of pop off kickers in general, which a lot of people can do, but in the streets, like a lot, I couldn't get up there. I've winched a lot. I feel like I'm a pretty competent wakeboarder. I've hit a lot of winch kickers. I don't think I'm getting up there. You got any secrets? You gonna help your boy out? How do I get up there, dude? What are you doing?
You just gotta jump, dude.
You saw him pop off that wall, dude. You just gotta jump.
Yeah. You hitting the gym, dude? What are you squatting?
Yeah, I mean nothing right now, but
He's got broken foot.
sissy squats. Sissy squats.
What are those?
Like when you go like way over your toes, you know? Like
No.
like a squat, like you squat down but your knees just go like way over your
Okay.
toes.
Yeah.
Those probably like were like the number one thing to help.
Interesting,
Yeah.
because I've been going to Planet Fitness, so I've been hitting the Smith machine. So like I don't do that at all. Like my shins stay completely vertical because I can like lean back against the bar right now.
Yeah, yeah.
But my ankle mobility is not good. Like because I can squat significantly more like with my heels up, as opposed to not. So maybe I need to start working
gotta
on
get
that.
on that game,
Prioritize
dude,
some
yeah.
ankle mobility.
There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what he said it's gonna take to get up on that ledge. I'm gonna
That's
I'm cab 7.
The secret
so-
he's willing to let you know, Cap 7 to nose press, dude. All right. I mean, yeah. Is there anything else we want to touch on here? I mean, we've been going for a few hours here. So, anything else you guys want to chat about? Anything on your minds?
I'm good. Does that
Have you
answer
seen what's
what?
up?
Does that answer River's question? What was her question?
She just wanted to hear you talk about the winch spots.
She can't wait for the walk
No,
back.
she can't. Apparently, she's impatient. You want to talk about her winch spot today? She went winching for a second time, first time.
Wake's good spot. Okay, are we live?
Only for the past 3 hours.
Cut that one.
All right.
All right. I think we wrap it up. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe if you made it to the outro, which apparently Dylan doesn't do. A lot of people don't do. I tune out outros. So, yeah, thanks for tuning in. Thanks to all the Patreon subscribers. Thanks you two for coming over and talking wakeboarding. And we'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, 10,000 views. Dylan will hit a rechug.
That thing, dude, that clip by itself is for sure gonna hit 10K.
Yeah.
That's might accidentally go viral there.
Are we talking about the clip or the pod?
What set a goal? What do you want?
Pod, dude. You gotta listen to the whole thing.
All right. 10,000 views ain't happening, but we can
It's
try.
good.
All right. 10,000 views.
Watch it twice.
Watch it twice, and I'll put that clip at the beginning. That'll help. All right. We'll see you guys next time.